If you've ever been okay with a little disturbance, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back. Happy, what are we, Wednesday now? Happy Wednesday, March 5th. We break down another day here in the market with Benzinga's pre-market playbook. I hope that you all had a wonderful evening last night. As we normally do on Wednesday, we've got Tim Melvin coming back here today to give us some long-term or some income plays. He said he had some treats for us last time. I don't know what they are. We're going to find that out here today. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Let's get this show on the road. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's pre-market playbook. This edition is the March 5th, 2025 edition. It is great to see a whole bunch of returning faces, and it is, of course, the dreaded hump day. So we're going to get through this here together. Kayla, good morning. Welcome back. It's good to see you. Crimp Biscuit, good morning, everybody. Quote, do the hump, end quote. You do you, Crimp Biscuit. I know the song that you're referring to, but nonetheless, you do you. Gotta say, love the haircut that I have here too. Makes wearing the headphones a lot easier. So just gonna throw that out there. Drew, good morning. Welcome back. Couch Potato, welcome back. Oop, that jumped on me a little bit. Paul, good morning. Welcome back. Sun-Kissed Yogi, welcome back. Chuck, welcome back. Bobby, good morning. LFG, that attitude gets me fired up, Bobby. Let's go. HD Hoods, good morning. Jay Harris, yes, coffee and chicken for breakfast. Jay Harris, you love your chicken, man, my man. With the best pre-market show ever. Thank you. But let's be honest, the community makes this show what it is. Don't forget that. Elixir, good morning. RL, good morning. Brandy, it's great to have you back. Good morning. Neville, hello, my friend. Hello. Hopefully you are well today. Bernhard, good morning. Reaching Financial Freedom, good morning. Yassine, good morning. Day Trader, good morning. Lion, checking in early. Let's go, Lion. Good morning. Terlingua, I hope I pronounced that right. That's a fun word to say. Good morning. It's going to be a great day. Any day that you're above ground breathing is a great day in my book, and we're going to make it great here again today. Hustle and Bustle, good morning. Jonathan, good morning. Ed, good morning. Dermalug, good morning. Crystal, good morning. Captain Cloudy, good morning. Wiss, we up in here. Let's go, Wiss. Wiss, I got to tell you, man, I am like starting to get that fiending for golf. Like I kind of want to like cut out midday and go to the simulator. Like I'm ready for it to be warm. Oh my God, give it to me. We got to start playing some golf. Did you get my Sol 130 entry yesterday, Day Trader? So first of all, let me just address this here real quick, and then we'll go ahead and get started. I just want to take a minute here because I really, really appreciate this. In an effort to try and boost our community and get more interaction, I've asked you folks, if you have trades that you're comfortable sharing with everybody, tweet me. Day Trader tweeted me a Sol entry yesterday. I retweeted that, and I want to, provide more exposure for our group here. Day Trader, I've been following a lot of that crypto stuff. And like I said, I'm kind of waiting right now for crypto to sell off a little bit so that I can actually convert more fiat to it. So yes, I did see this. If you folks didn't, be sure to follow me on Twitter as well as Day Trader. I'm going to go ahead and tweet out any of those trades that you folks want. So yes, I did. Good stuff. Glad to see that you're up on that already. Really good stuff there. Sleep Coffee Trade. Amen, brother. Good morning. Welcome back. Jay Grant, good morning. Shamir, the king. I love it with the king crown emoji. Let's go. Good morning. Artisan Coffee Homes. Man, I tell you what, you guys, the YouTube handle names, they go to 11 today. Good morning. Peter, good morning. Wally, good morning. Zoo, good morning. Big Woke Gaiman, good morning. Ralph, good morning. JJ and Tom, good morning. Market Sniper, good morning. And anyone that I might have missed that is still lurking out there, good morning. I hope that you are, in fact, having a great morning. Let's go ahead and dive right into the market. We'll take a look at, nope. Come on. Stream. Sorry. Day Trader, when I tried to hide your comment there, the option that I had is ban this person from chat. And I'm like, no. Good Lord. UI, tough. Anyway, let's go ahead and dive right into the market here. Let's take a look at the SPY. Now, the big thing here, like from like a 10,000 foot perspective on the market, it appears as if we tested the 200-day moving average. So we talked a little bit about some of these pullback levels. I think between yesterday and today, I went ahead and added the 15% pullback level just in case we get down there. But we've talked a lot about some of these pullback levels. We're right there, right over the 5% pullback level. I'm about to show you some stats here that this is really not a concern and not a correction. We'll get in there. But so far, it looks like the market is bouncing from the 200-day. Now, a couple of key notes here. Number one, this candle itself did not actually print at the level of the 200-day moving average. The absolute dead low of this candle was 572.25, and the value for the 200-day is 571.34. So a lot of this comes into how you actually look at support and resistance levels, as well as specific values versus areas and the whole 9 yards. We talk a lot about that. I'm a huge proponent of support and resistance being areas and not just finite points down to a penny, although that's always nice when things work perfectly to a penny. But it looks like we've kind of tested this. Really, the question for me is, was this enough? Was this enough to maybe push us back over some of those levels that we've spent the last couple of weeks losing, like the 50-day, the 100-day, maybe even getting back to that round 600 level, or maybe even the volume point of control, which is up here near all-time highs? I don't know the answer to that. And I want to hear from you folks what you think the next move is going to be. Producer, maybe for a poll here today, we should ask, what's the next 5%? Up, down, or I'm not sure. Something like that. Let's figure out what you folks think, where we're going to go next, in what direction we're going to go next. And I don't just mean like little oscillations. I mean like an actual substantial move. I'm curious to see. I would not be surprised if we've kind of rolled over, retested that 200-day, and then broke beneath it. In that scenario, if we do roll over, retest the 200-day to the downside, and then break down through the 200-day, at that point, I'm pretty much going to be holding out for the 10% level. There are going to be other levels that we're going to be able to identify here by using the chart, and we'll do that when the time comes. But the big one that I'm kind of going to be targeting here is this 10% level, and we've got that down here at about 552. When we were talking on happy hour, and we were kind of, and this isn't just yesterday, but this has been like over the past couple of weeks when we've been trying to formulate where the market might go over the course of 2025, or at least here in the near term, if we do consider pulling back. We have some folks that have targets under 500 for the SPY. So a 15% pullback puts us at 521. A target under, we have this 480 target here. This actually used to be another level, another pretty key level way back in the day, as the kids like to say. So we got some more room beneath. I want to see if we're going to get it there. And I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure how long that's going to take. One of the other things that we discussed is, might this be kind of a slow grind down to that level, or might we take the elevator down to that level? Personally, the market didn't ask me, but if it did ask me, I'd want to do this as fast as possible. Get it over with, give us something to trade, reset some of the valuations, clean out the froth, whatever you think, or however you look at it. Let's get it over with as fast as possible and get down to brass tacks. I think if it is a slow grind down, that's actually harder for all of us, in my personal opinion. Thank you, producer. Be sure to vote in the poll. We really appreciate you. I do love seeing the results of all of these. One more thing that I wanted to mention here about today. I don't know why I lost my shading there, but we don't really need it for this example. S&P futures. We've noticed something with the futures here, and let's see that this is basically the pre-market. We've noticed something with the futures here. On days where the futures are down or weak, we often bounce intraday. Even if we don't close green, we bounce and we end up holding that level. Well, the opposite seems to be true. When we show up and the futures are green and there looks to be a lot of optimism in the market likes to kind of trade up a little bit and then roll over, sometimes closing on the lows or even breaking the lows and going lower. So today we found ourselves in the latter. We had green arrows across the board, and you know what that means, folks. Current look right now, S&P futures up just about 0.3 here, Dow futures up 0.2, and the NASDAQ up about 0.5%. They were all higher earlier this morning. So I don't want to get too excited here with the green arrows after the State of the Union and all of that stuff last night. the market has been telling us that rallies are getting sold here. Rallies are getting sold. And until that changes, until we have some type of confirmation that that changes, I think we need to be very, very mindful of that. If you asked me right now, I would expect this market at some point today to roll over. Now, we are expecting some other, we're going to get into this. We are expecting some other news headlines. And frankly, given the current administration that we have, you should expect some type of news headline to create volatility every day. Some days it's going to be the market, it's going to bring the market down. Other days it's going to bring the market up. But that is absolutely what we should expect. So just looking at the SPY here, we did test the 200-day. We're right at the 5% pullback level. Futures started green this morning. Let's not get too excited, and let's see if those futures roll over here at all. Now, I did want to get to a couple of stories here real quick before we get to Tim Melvin. Again, we do have Tim Melvin coming up in about 20 minutes. Let me see if I missed anything here. Good morning, Big Bees. Good morning, Jonathan. Oh, good morning, Diamond, Sebastian, Hans, Allzorts. Okay. Really good stuff. Allzort saying if tariffs are dropped, lower, up if tariffs are dropped, lower if nothing happens. So Allzorts, I think that this is probably the consensus right now. And I mean that in a good way. That's not, I'm not disparaging that at all. I think you're probably right here. And one of the stories that we're going to go over here is Lutnick basically saying that he expects something to happen. He said this yesterday, had these comments on Tuesday. He expects something to happen here today. So we'll see if what we get. I think that you're pretty much on the right page. We'll see if the market plays out like we expect. Okay. Hans saying the market will go up after Trump makes a deal. You know, that's actually a really interesting thing too, because we were talking about some of the mineral deals yesterday. 13 was doing a little bit more of a deeper dive into what the minerals deal might end up materializing over a number of years. So that's kind of interesting. I agree with you, though. I think the headline of deals being made and wars ending is just generally going to be a positive. We'll see here, though. Good morning, Anne-Marie. Welcome back. Let's see. Good morning, Nabil. Good morning, you versus you. Good morning, Captain Obvious. Yeah, and you know what? Who's glad that we didn't panic sell yesterday, right? You should all be glad that we didn't panic sell yesterday as we get a little bit of a bounce back here today. Okay, let's take a look at some of this. I do want to breeze through some of these. I'm going to kind of combine some of the big quotes that are actually affecting some of the futures here today. And then I want to get to actual stock news because I think that's going to be more beneficial to us than spending more time than necessary on the macro here. U.S. stock futures are advancing on Wednesday. Remember, they're off the highs. They were higher earlier. They're off those highs, but they were advancing on Wednesday following Tuesday's sell-off. Futures for all four benchmarks were rising there. During his measure, here, Trump reiterated, quote, we all know that the market is hanging on the tariff discussion and the tariff words and all of that. Trump reiterated, quote, tariffs are about making America rich again and making America great again. And it is happening, and it will happen rather quickly. There will be a little disturbance, but we are okay with that. End quote. Key takeaway here is definitely during Trump 1.0, the market was a barometer of his presidency's success, or at least he looked at it that way. He constantly referred to it that way. And this is a small break from that. Definitely seems to think that a little disturbance in the market is going to be okay. And some other people in his administration are basically saying that Wall Street might feel a little bit of pain, but we're focused on Main Street here. And if that has positive implications down the road, it should be a net positive for everybody. We'll see what happens. Don't want to make a prediction. We'll see what happens here. I did really quickly want to go down here. Oh, we are going to cover CrowdStrike's earnings. They got blasted yesterday. And let me just and I did want to go over some of these stats. Of course. So first of all, Peter Schiff, we had a nice little tweet here from Peter Schiff. Tariffs are not the way to rebuild American manufacturing base. We need to restore the competitiveness of American industry. That means massive reduction in government spending, reduced regulations, increased labor laws, and increased personal savings to finance capital projects. He goes on. If you want that link, it's in the story here that the producer threw in the chat for you. He's basically against tariffs, but then says that a lot of the other stuff that the administration is doing is the way to go. So we'll see here if Lutnick is correct. If the tariffs are, if a deal is made and the tariffs are pulled or reduced or whatever it is, we'll see today if he's correct. I don't want to say that he's going to be correct. I'll just let the market tell us, and we'll trade it accordingly. Ryan Dietrich, let's get to Ryan Dietrich. Man, the stats here are absolutely awesome. As the S&P 500 slid nearly 6% from the previous high of February 19th, Dietrich of Carson Research noted that the correlation was mild. And this is a key point here. When we see 5-6 days in a row of everything selling off and Bitcoin is selling off and the market is selling off and small caps can't get out of their own way, it's really easy to think, God, the market is correcting. This is really, really bad. But if you just back out and actually take a look at the numbers, it's really not that bad. 5%, again, this is something that we've been discussing quite a bit. 5% is normal trading action. This is not a correction. This is 5%. It's 5%. We're at all-time highs. The market has been absolutely raging. We're down 5% and everyone's panicking. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Anyway, just kind of keep that in mind. He cited 2023 as an example and said it had one 5% mild correction and one 10% correction. Even the best years have volatility. So the takeaway here is even if we do have a 5, 6, 7, or even a 10% correction, that doesn't mean that the year's over and we need to give up or wait for the next year. No, we need to be tactical about that. And frankly, I can't wait for this to happen. I want to be able to add some of these more quality companies at discounted prices. Stock market is the only game in town where you show up and everything's on sale and people are upset about it. There's no other business that works that way. Normally, when there's a sale, the consumer is thrilled. But here in the stock market, we get Apple down $15, $20. Oh my God, that's really bad. Look, it's just a sale. Has the business changed? That's for you to answer. Okay, so some of the other stats here. S&P 500 is down 6% from the peak. We saw some of those corrections in previous years, and even the best years have volatility. Goes on to say, furthermore, he reinstated confidence among investors by highlighting that Wednesday has been by far the best day of the week in 2025. Who would have thought that schlump day or hump day or whatever it is that you call it is the best day of the week? I'll be honest, until I saw this stat, I actually had to double take, rub my eyes, make sure I wasn't still asleep. I couldn't believe that. I definitely didn't think it was going to be a Wednesday. I thought maybe a Thursday, maybe even a Friday in there, but clearly that was wrong. Wednesday, best day of the week here. Monday is really bad, proving that nobody likes Mondays. Even the market gets a case of the Mondays. How about that? So we'll see here. Does this hold true? Is this Wednesday a pretty good day, or do we actually roll over? The big thing for me on the broader market is what these indices do and where they close. Do we roll over, close on the lows? Do we violate yesterday's intraday low or break yesterday's intraday low and go lower? That's what I want to see. And then, of course, where do we close? Right? If we trade down there right out of the open and then we bounce ferociously and close above yesterday's highs, we're going to have an engulfing candle on the daily chart. We're going to have all types of different things that's going to get traders all hot and bothered. So a lot of stuff to see a lot of stuff to look at today and observe how this market actually closes. Okay, moving on. Again, don't want to spend too much. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're good. We are good. Okay. So here, Trump says a little disturbance possible due to tariffs and speech to Congress as GM, Tesla, and energy stocks lift in the after hours. Auto industry to absolutely boom. So this is something else that I want to hear from you folks. Do you think that the U.S. auto industry in particular is set to boom, or are you just calling a hooey on that comment here? He goes into some more comments there about the tariffs. And then one of the other things here, tariff policies took center stage, with Trump promising to implement reciprocal tariff barriers starting on April 2nd, a move that could significantly impact international trade dynamics and corporate strategies. Economist Jason Furman quickly weighed in, posting about potential retaliatory trade measures. Maybe we'll VAT them in relation to them VATing us. This is, of course, the VAT tax on the EU. Anne-Marie, not to put you on the spot here, but yesterday, on our show, you kind of hinted that, hey, there's tariffs are a thing. They've been going on for a long time. There are tariffs on the U.S. too. This isn't like a new thing. And Jason here giving you a pretty good example using the VAT tax as that example. So again, I don't want to spend too much time on this because me sitting here thinking, oh yeah, this is what's going to happen is just set up to make me look like a complete moron. I have no idea what the administration's going to do. A lot of you agree. There can be a lot of loose cannons in there, a lot of headlines that really drive things. Let's, instead of trying to predict and possibly being catastrophically wrong, let's come from a protective approach and then play the hand we're dealt. This is the theme that I'm trying to orchestrate. No matter how you feel about all of this stuff, the theme that I'm trying to instill here is to make good decisions and not panic. Again, kind of a carryover theme from yesterday. Okay, last one here before we get to some individual. I know there's a lot of stuff that has to do with the administration and all of that with the State of the Union. Kind of have a slow news morning anyway. I just want to get through all this stuff. This one here, Trump's congressional address taps Elon Musk for government overhaul, reviving the drill baby drill for energy. So I know energy is something that we've discussed here quite a bit. Whether or not the sector is going to be one of the leaders here today. Do we buy oil stocks? Do we buy natural gas stocks, et cetera, et cetera? This is basically saying that, he's bringing Musk on board to help do all of these things. Musk doesn't really need to do this. He wants to do this because he wants to help the country and all of that. Talked about food prices. Here, this is what I wanted to get to. Energy policy took center stage with Trump's emphatic drill baby drill approach. He declared, quote, "We have more liquid gold under our feet than any nation on earth. I fully authorize the most talented team ever assembled to go and get it," end quote. This includes plans for gigantic natural gas pipelines in Alaska and expanding critical mineral production. Now, I would imagine that as we get some more concreteness about some of these things, this will actually provide some plays, both to the upside and the downside. What I would put out here for you folks right now is, what individual names do you think are going to be most in play here if we start getting some of these energy headlines, whether they're natural gas pipelines being built, this, that, and the other thing? What individual names can we go for? And we'll see how those end up panning out here. Okay, and then here, this is the last story. This is kind of what I was already talking about. We will get to Tim here shortly. I just kind of want to button this up real quick. This is Trump threatens more tariffs after Canada retaliates. Commerce Secretary Lutnick says relief could be announced Wednesday. This is, I think, is the big thing that folks are looking for here today. Again, no matter what side they're on, these headlines, if we get them, is likely to cause a change in the market price and what the market is doing here. So let me just quickly recap this. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced on Tuesday that Canada would impose retaliatory tariffs on U.S. imports after President Trump placed 25% levies on Canadian imports. Goes down for some specifics here. Trump, of course, going back and calling him Governor Trudeau, just trying to take a dig at him there. Here, this is the important quote, though. Late Tuesday afternoon, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said there could be an announcement. There could be an announcement from the Trump administration regarding some relief for goods from Mexico and Canada covered under the North American Free Trade Agreement. Both the Mexican and the Canadians were on the phone with me all day trying to show that they'll do better, and the president's listening because he's very, very fair and very, very reasonable, Lutnick said in an interview with Fox Business. Goes on to say, so I think he's going to work something out with them. It's not going to be a pause, none of the pause stuff, but I think he's going to figure it out. You do more and I'll meet you in the middle in some way, and we're going to be probably announcing that tomorrow. So I don't know if this is going to happen. I don't know if this is all hogwash, but this is definitely something that we want to pay attention to here today, especially if you're day trading, especially if you have open positions. This is likely going to cause a little disturbance, to use the parlance of the week. So just be mindful of this. Know that this is coming, or at least this has been talked about coming. Things can always change, especially with this administration. So that's kind of what's going on here. All right, let's go back to the charts here. I do have some, before the bell opens, I do want to talk a little bit about Tesla. We'll probably also take a look at CrowdStrike, which reported some earnings. We've talked about cybersecurity really kind of being a theme. CrowdStrike actually got pounded. Let's see how that's doing here real quick. CrowdStrike got pounded on those earnings, still down here 8.3% this morning. Okay. Okay, it is Wednesday, and I know you folks might be thinking, well, gosh, we were lucky. We already saw Tim Melvin this week. He came on, he talked about some academic studies, and then he gave us some more stuff. What do you mean? Well, we're double dipping with Tim here today, so please welcome Tim Melvin. Let's bring him on. Tim, good morning and happy Wednesday. How are you doing, my man?
Good morning, everybody. Well, we're just living the dream down here in Southwest Florida, watching the madness play out in the markets over the last couple of days. You always seem to set me up well, Ryan, because, we're going to get into some of the technical analysis stuff that I talked about last time that I was on here. But, the drill baby drill conversation in the speech, there's something you have to remember about politicians and speeches. They're selling. Okay. Now, Donald Trump last night was selling a vision of America and what his administration has done. If you think that the oil company executives are going to drill, baby, drill, you are sadly mistaken. They tried drill, baby, drill one time. Massive bankruptcies across the industry. Gas prices might have gone down, but the oil companies were in trouble. They were losing money. They were having trouble with debt. Here's the thing about the oil and gas industry, right? If they make money, if they have a good year, we get lots of talk about windfall profit taxes. Remember those? The Biden administration, the Obama administration did it. And Trump has even touched on it back during the 2017 period on the windfall profit taxes because of all the unfair profits the oil and gas industry is making. You know what there's not, Ryan? A windfall loss catch-up payment to the oil and gas industry.
Never seems to work like that.
Never seems to work like that. So the oil and gas industries, they're sitting back and they're watching, but they're not going to drill, baby, drill, because the last thing they want is sub $60 oil. It gets real tricky to make money down at that level. And natural gas does not need to be dropping down any lower than it already is. And there's a lot of reasons for that. First off, natural gas is ridiculously cheap from a historical perspective. But if you start adding layoffs in the oil and gas industry to what we're already seeing out of the folks in Washington, okay, let's digest those before we wreck the oil and gas industry. How about that? But we are seeing some setups, which are really interesting because we saw some oil and gas companies just get waxed over the last couple of days.
And real quickly, I want to hear the specific setups that you have, and that's wonderful. One of the things that we had looked at recently was this XLE. We kind of had this ascending wedge here on the chart, and now we are pretty much right at the base of this. So if you think that this chart pattern is going to hold up, it certainly seems to me that the next move from here is likely up. I know we're beneath this a little bit, but we'll see if we can recapture that here today. Anyway, Tim, I just wanted to start here with the XLE. What do you got for us today?
Well, let's look at a bunch of this stuff. One of my favorite was, first off, let's look at Plains GP Holdings. This is it's the parent company, the managing partner of an MLP. That way I don't have to listen to everybody whine about K1s and taxes. But they own
ticker me up.
PAGP. This is everything that is required to move oil from point A to point B to the marketplace. It is pipelines for oil, natural gas liquids. They own barges, they own trucks, they own terminals, they own storage facilities, they own processing services and centers. If it's involved in moving gas, they own a bunch of it. They own it through an MLP structure. This is the general partner of that MLP, and they have an ownership interest of some size, obviously. So you're getting a 7% dividend. The stock has pulled back. It should not have pulled back. These things are cash flow and dividend machines. So when you see, and here's the thing to remember about the midstream, Ryan. As long as we're using oil and gas, the midstream makes out just fine because they're on long-term take-or-pay contracts. They're getting paid almost regardless of what the price of oil and gas is. That does not have a monster impact on their business, but the psychology of oil and gas and all of that lovely stuff does have an impact. So a PAGP is absolutely worth a serious look in here.
Okay. 8% yield on this one too, 8+%.
Yeah, you look at a Devon Energy, I'm sorry, oil and gas producer, big in the Permian, one of the biggest ones in the country, and this thing's pulling back in here 21% over the last year.
Yep.
And in the last week or so, it's definitely pulled back in here a little bit.
And really quickly, just looking at the DVN chart here, we had an ridiculously clean double top going back to 2022. This pullback level, we've already bounced once off this 30 level. This to me seems to be a real key support. This goes all the way back. My gosh, this goes all the way back to 2015, and actually might even go back further than that. I'm limited on some of my data here, but in any case, look, this chart actually looks like it's at a pretty good spot.
Yeah, the thing to remember about Devon Energy is Devon has a kind of interesting. Well, more and more of these have been put together by the oil and gas industry. They have a shareholder return policy where a percentage of the money goes to buybacks and debt reduction, and then there's a fixed dividend. Okay. And then over and above that fixed dividend, which is paid first after all the bills are paid, they decide what to do, whether to buy back stock, pay an extra dividend, or pay down debt. Generally speaking, this dividend's highly variable. So when you look at 4 different websites, you'll get 4 different answers for what is Devon yielding. We think it's going to end up yielding right around 4% this year. A couple years ago, it was yielding over 8%. So it's all got, this one is tied real hard to oil and gas prices. Okay. But they're one of the premier players in the United States. I have a hard time seeing how, with natural gas demand from LNG, from AI, from everything else, is not a monster stock over the next several years.
Okay, cool. Then DVN, this also, just a fair warning here, DVN, this is a happy hour favorite. When we talk about energy stocks, this one always gets brought up on one of those. So good stuff there, Tim.
And then Cortera Energy, CTRA. Again, oil and gas across the United States, exploration and production. This is probably the best run oil and gas EP company in the country, in my opinion. The CEO is a brilliant guy. They're doing things with AI that no other oil and gas company is doing, not just in looking for oil and gas. They're using it to run and manage their business more effectively. So this is just a great little company sitting over there. And if it continues to pull back based on headlines, you have to be a buyer. Because remember, no matter how much we talk about drill, baby, drill and what we want to do, none of that is doing away with all of the extra demand for gas that's going to come from the fact that Europe desperately needs our LNG. That, nuclear and renewable, none of that stuff is going to solve our AI and technology-driven energy demand here in the United States, because you're not just talking about AI, right? You're talking about smart homes and smart cars and smart cities and the electrification of industry. Mm-hmm. You're talking about a surge in electricity demand that we have not seen in a very long time in this country. We don't have the facilities to deliver that energy right now. The only answer here is natural gas or coal. I'm pretty sure that even in today's climate, the coal, it just might be a tough sell.
Okay. Yeah, maybe.
I am kind of bullish on coal. We like coal stocks here because they're just like stupid cheap. And the big secret that nobody wants to talk about is over 20% of our electricity and most of our overnight catch-up electricity is from coal plants. But China's building and burning the stuff like crazy, as is India. So
real quickly here, let me just jump in. I am seeing some breaking news that Lutnick says to expect an announcement on tariffs this afternoon. So it looks like we're in the clear here for this morning, but you can expect some headlines here this afternoon. Whatever that might be, we'll have to wait and see, but be ready for that.
I have to say I'm absolutely fascinated to see what the Canadians or Mexico were willing to do to make the tariffs go away. If in fact that's what it is, or announcement could be the president coming out and saying, you know what, they didn't settle, I doubled them. So we never know with this guy.
But that's a really good point.
It's entertaining.
It's a really good point. And here's the thing, Tim. I'm with you. I don't know what they're going to say. And you know what? I could make a guess, but I might as well gamble on one of the games tonight because I probably have a better chance of getting that right. To be quite honest with you, maybe there will be categories left out. Maybe they'll get doubled. Maybe they won't go on at all. Whatever is going to come out here, I'm going to play the hand that I'm dealt. I'm not going to position for that because I could very easily be wrong.
No, that's exactly correct. And here's the thing, guys, whether you hate Donald Trump or you love Donald Trump or you're like me and you just wish it was illegal for politicians to talk in public, it's irrelevant. Whether you like the policies, hate the policies, no matter what else happens, you will be entertained because it's all, you're not ever going to be able to sit down. Like with Barack Obama, I could have wrote the speech before he ever gave it. Same with Joe Biden, although I can't stutter quite to that degree. But with Donald Trump, that's not going to work. So, and the biggest thing for us as investors and traders, guys, he's going to create massive volatility. All right.
Mm-hmm.
We can complain about it. We can whine about it. We can do what retail investors and scared traders have done since the dawn of time and sell at the lows. Blast out our longs at the lows at the wrong price, or we can make it work for us. And I know which category I'm going with on that one. I'll leave what you guys do to be up to you. But
Tim, you'll be happy to know that one of the things that I've been trying to constantly remind people is that we should not be panic selling, right? Don't be panic selling. Don't be panicking. Try and be as tactical as you can. So I'm with you on that. I second what you were saying there.
Yeah, I mean, be smart because remember the strongest short-term rallies are always in a bear market. So if we're going to have a bear market, you're going to get several rip hires where you get a chance to do something with this. All right, let's just jump right in. I mentioned last time I am a geek. I study everything, and I read all the studies that come out, peer reviewed, not peer reviewed. I like to read them, go through them. If it interests me, I'll run my own tests and see if the data holds up to my version of the simulation and the back testing. Now, there's a company called New Trading, a couple of very smart guys. Cedric Thompson, CMT CFA, did the review on this. They came out and they studied 100 years of data using the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and they asked a really simple question, Ryan. Which technical indicator is best? Now, this is something that over the last, I'm going to say decade, I've gotten really interested in because for most of my career, I was in that value investing camp of, technical analysis doesn't work, only value works. There's just lines on the charts and squiggles and jiggles. And then I spent some time and I got to know guys like Gary Antonacci, like Larry Williams, that used primarily technical analysis, John Bollinger. And you get into conversations with these guys and you realize a couple things. A, they're brilliant people. B, they're really rich. and they're really rich because they drew lines on charts and they traded on that and it worked. So we started paying a little bit more attention to that kind of side of the equation and finding ways to marry it with momentum and value. And then, the trend following thing has proven I set out trying to disprove trend following, and it bit me in the butt.
I bet it did.
Because it actually really works. It works really, really well.
The trend is your friend, it turns out.
The trend is your friend. And here's the thing, and I'll throw this out since we're more of a trading forum. Not enough traders are using trend. Okay. You talk to people and trend following, I call it the value investing of trading. Because everybody knows that deep value investing works. But it's kind of boring, right? You put your position, you buy your stocks, you come back in a year, you sell your stocks, and then you take your money and go home. That's not boring. That's not exciting. It's not water cooler worthy. That you walk up and tell somebody you just bought a parts supplier to the steel industry in Cleveland, Ohio at half a book. They don't care. Right. They're going back to talk about the new widget and NVIDIA and the new biotech drug and this, that, and the other thing. You've just identified yourself as the type of guy who cuffs his trousers and has tassels on his loafers. Right. You're boring. And trend following is exactly the same way. Right. It's trend following works. We all know it works. There's so many rich people walking around from trend following. Here's the thing. Less than half of your trades will win with trend following. Often much less. Now, your winners are like monsters.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, and I always like to use the cocoa chart. Everybody was super hyped up about cocoa last year because cocoa was running. It was running. Cocoa was in like the seventh, the bottom of the seventh of a long run. Trend following systems went long cocoa at, in 2022. And cocoa was like a 5-6x run, not just this little run to the peak. So it was really boring though, because basically you owned cocoa and you sat there and the roll came up and you bought some more cocoa. So that's anyway, back to what works. And somebody's up here saying this administration is more worrisome than entertaining. That's Hubert in the chat. Hubert, here's the thing. All administrations are worrisome. Anytime somebody new walks in and sits down in that chair, you should worry. I mean, governments don't really do a lot for the population. That's a fact. However, if they are entertaining, that at least gives us a bonus plus factor. And we can sit and we can complain and we can whine and we can hate this president or hate that president. It's not going to make us a dime. So let's just work with the fact that this is the president. This is the Congress. How do we make money off of that? So anyway, let's get back to the technical stuff. Just wanted to set up why and how a value guy like me got into this. So anyway.
Before you do that though, Tim, I'm actually going to tease something real quick about finding stocks in trends. You and I have been working on something recently, and we do some of these presentations at night where we show you how you can easily do this. Some of those features are available right now in the wild in the test environment, but stay tuned, folks, because pretty soon we're going to have some super easy to use tools to help identify trends on top of other things like growth, momentum, value, and quality. So, Tim, I know that you've been instrumental in that. We're bringing some pretty exciting stuff here to the masses. Just thought I'd tease that a little bit.
Yeah, we really are. There's just going to be some very cool stuff you can do with combining trend and fundamental rating factors.
Yep.
And we'll talk lots more of that as time goes by and as they come live, because I mean, I think it's going to be one of the best tools we've added to anybody's arsenal in a very long time.
I agree. And I think it's going to help us make 2025 an even better year than we've seen in the past. So I'm really excited about that. Had to throw that tease in there, Tim.
Well, yeah, I should have thought of doing that myself. I will.
Got you.
I will apply the appropriate discipline later in the day. Maybe I'll skip my peanut butter sandwich for lunch or something. Anyway, jumping right in here. What are the best technical indicators to the broader market over the last 100 years? Now, this actually turned out pretty cool. The most reliable, and this one that we've talked about, is Williams percent R, RSI, and Bollinger Bands. Okay. Now, that's fascinating to me because these are all oscillators based on buying oversold and selling overbought levels. And that's how they did the testing on this. Mm-hmm. The testing was pretty simple. On RSI, I remember exactly what the rules are: less than or equal to 40, greater than or equal to 70. Remember, this is on the broad market. Okay. And my experience has been that if you marry RSI on the broad market with a trend indicator, the results are pretty damn good. Okay. Now, the most profitable, but highest profit factor winners and losers, and factoring in the win rate. First off, let's get to the win rate here. Now they did this test the right way. They back tested this thing from 1995 to 1928, and then they ran it out of sample. They ran it forward on the data from 1996 to 2024. We're going to look at the out of sample results. Now, simple moving average and the exponential moving average, they're different varieties of the same tool, basically. I prefer the SMA. The 50-day simple moving average has a win rate, Ryan. It's not great. 26.2% of the time. The exponential moving average is 30%. However, your gain on the simple moving average, all you're doing is you're buying when the price crosses above and selling when it crosses back below, which is way too simple. and leaves out opportunities to sell, at a better price. But anyway, just that simple strategy. 4.14 win to loss ratio, right? So your average winner is 4.1 times your average loser. That's pretty easy to make money. You've got a return rate of 1.35. All right. Now RSI, 87% win rate, right? Just buying RSI oversold, selling over RSI overbought in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. All right. You've got a 87% win rate. You have a negative win-loss ratio. Your losses are bigger than your wins. But because you do have so many winners compared to losers, you have a very high return rate of 1.54. And then Bollinger Bands is an 81%, buying when it trades below the lower band, and above, selling when it trades above the upper band. 81% win rate, a terrible win-loss ratio of 0.72 for a 1.4%. So, and then the other one that worked really well was Donchian channels, a trend breakout of the Donchian channels, which is really interesting because if you remember, one of the first times I came on, I talked about Gary Antonacci's industry and sector momentum study, where they used Donchian breakouts as a key part of defining momentum. Well, these channel breakouts on the broader market, and that's just breaking out of the upper channel and breaking through the bottom channel as a sell, 78% win rate. So just very cool to look at these. By the way, the Williams %R, which we've also talked about before on the show, has a 70-some% win rate.
So real quickly here, Tim, just kind of listening to all of the stats there. I went ahead and just kind of followed along, loaded up a chart here of SPY for the quote broader market, threw some Bollinger Bands on here along with RSI and Williams %R.
You're at a buy.
I was leading you to the water, and you just said, F it, I'm going to drink it right now. That's exactly what this looks like. That's exactly what this looks like. It looks like these three indicators combined with one another are now flashing a buy signal.
And mind you, this again, if you look at the moving average, the 50-day, we broke to the downside. Okay. Same with the 100-day. We're now in a short to intermediate term kind of downtrend in the broader stock markets. But here you've got the technical indicators telling us we've got a fantastic counter trend rally opportunity here. So, and that brings me to my next point, which in individual stocks, I got my hand on a whole collection of back tests that some folks did. And their data goes from 1998 through the end of 2023. And they tested just a ton of various technical indicators. Now, here's what they came up with. Now, Williams %R is one of the most profitable, delivering steady, and these are unlevered returns. So there's no options, there's no leverage, there's no nothing. Just let me go back through here and see exactly.
That's important. I'm glad that you mentioned that. I don't think I mentioned that enough. I don't think we as a group here mentioned that enough. So some of these indicators, what I just heard you say is that some of these indicators work better or worse if you're going to use leverage. And it sounds like what you're talking about right now is just no leverage, just straight up equity. Just
straight up equity, right? So, just a long entry on just a very traditional Williams %R, -80 or below, you're a buyer. Long is just very short term, -50, you're gone. -50, by the way, is pretty much like a neutral state with the Williams %R. About 15% a year. So that's, again, no leverage. All right. Drawdowns about the same as the market. I think you could do away by, again, using simple shorter term and longer term trend indicator combinations. I think you can improve the win-loss ratio on these things. The winner, ta-da, 5-day relative strength moving average. Now, I've talked to some traders who really love the 5-day relative strength index. And again, just using that overbought, oversold thing. And this is on individual stocks, S&P 500 as your universe. So we can really easily take a look and realize that, almost everything on the planet fell into that indicator status yesterday. It was over 1,200 of the S&P of the New York Stock Exchange listed stocks actually triggered this thing yesterday. Of the S&P 500 stocks, we have several hundred that hit it. Some of the more interesting ones, Raymond James Financial threw off, just a fresh under that, and it's all the way down now to an RSI on the 5-day of 17. Now, the key to this is, you've got to kind of you've got to feel pretty good about the market bouncing up. So that's why you look at the Bollinger Band trend, you look at on the broader market, the RSI and the Williams percent R. And now I'm looking up saying Raymond James, this is one of the best financial services companies in the world. Same with T. Rowe Price. Now they're really oversold on this 5-day RSI indicator. We know we've got a statistical pretty good probability of a win here. So these are trades I might want to consider. And I'm just going through to look at some of the other statistics, set up nicely here.
Yeah, Diamond, as far as the RSI goes, Tim talked about the 5-day RSI period. You're asking about the default setting, which I believe is going to be 14 in pretty much all applications. So it sounds like Tim's actually changing the length of that in this case to 5 days.
Yeah, and by the way, you should kind of always do that. Play with it. Just because somebody else decided, Wells Wilder or Larry Williams or somebody else said, hey, you know what, in this environment of 1969, the 14-day is working best. Maybe that's not the one that works today. You also remember, you don't get rich doing what everybody else does.
That's right.
So everybody else is using 14-day. And those are primarily investors and swing traders, and you are a day trader. Well, it makes sense for you, or at least a shorter term swing trader, it makes sense for you to shorten up your parameter. So here in the back test here, they did a under 20 of 5-day RSI. I'm sorry, under 30, and they sold it when RSI was over 50 on the way moving higher. So they were quick to take profits on this thing.
They're basically taking it at the midline of the RSI chart. As soon as it crosses that middle line, they're saying, okay. So that's interesting because at least does it give any stats on how they're is it the entire position that they're selling? Might that be a scaling out point? Or
again, that's the flaw kind of with rigid back tests like this, because you're right. The way to do this would have been to scale. Would have been to sell at the midpoint, and then put your stop at the midpoint.
That's right.
And sell some more at the top band. At the top RSI band. But then I would have done this as a third and a third and a third, because the biggest winners of all time ride above the RSI band for a very long period of time.
Yep.
So if you've got a stock that's above a rising top RSI band, that's often really, really bullish.
Really good stuff so far, Tim. To be fair, you did say that you were coming with some goodies today and we should all be excited. And here we are. That's exactly the case.
Yeah. And I just look using and you can begin to mingle in some of the other things that we're putting into Pro, right? We can look for these stocks on a 5-day RSI that are trading at low levels, that are, larger cap companies. We can add in some quality scores. We can add in some valuation scores. So there's a bunch of stuff you can do to uncover these opportunities. And whether you're an investor like me or a trader, I think they have great value. And I will say that when you take the RSI, you just want to take the 5-day. When the market's down like it is today, and that's also on the 14-day RSI and on the Williams, and like the same setup we've got right now. You know what you should be doing today? Selling options. If you were ever going to sell options, today is a good day to sell options on really high quality stocks. So you look out there and you say, all right, and I'm going to use one that I like because it's a great business and I think it's going to bounce back, and it's been into a bit of a downtrend, but the fundamentals on this thing are pretty good. That's Mosaic Company, the fertilizer company, right? Balance sheet is good. They're paying a nice dividend. They're buying back stock, MOS. Well, the thing's gotten hammered. So if I could go in now and find an attractive option to sell, putting up all of the cash or at a minimum half of the cash, so that if it's put to you, you're not scrambling to meet a margin call, because you kind of want the stock to be put to you, right? You're
Mhm.
not looking to make a living selling options. You're looking to add percentages to your total return. So going through and
Hmm.
looking for
Interesting.
super high quality stocks that you would love to own, that like you would be dancing in the streets if you could buy this stock cheaper. If you can sell puts on that at a very attractive price, and don't get nuts, do not sell a 2026 put. You will not be happy with what happens. Okay. Sell a 2, maybe a 3-month put, collect the premium. To be honest, I'd rather collect 12 different smaller put premiums on this strategy than one very large premium. I just want to be bringing in
Mhm.
cash secured. If you're really aggressive and you're going to be owning this thing on margin, you put up half. So you're only talking, maybe you get 1, 2, 3%. But again, you're looking to add to the total return of the stock, not hit an option home run. Right? Because option selling is one of those things that nobody really understands. They hear 90% winner, so they think it's great, and they do it on exchange traded margin. That is the single best way, other than marrying that gold digger from high school. It's the single best way to lose your house.
I don't want anyone from our group here to lose their house. So
Right.
pay attention.
Right. So, right. Selling puts on minimum margin is just a huge mistake. However, finding a stock that you go, wow, this thing's trading at 12 times earnings, right? It's paying a 4% dividend. It's got an F score, great fundamentals. The F score is over 7. The balance sheet is fortress level, passes all the credit checks, high current ratio. It's at 22, and I can go out 3 months and sell a 20 put for a 1.5% premium. I add 6% to my total return if they put the stock to me. If they don't, and I do that several times a year, then I've earned probably what is a market beating return. And remember, the higher the volatility, the higher the option premium. Okay.
Indeed.
So if you're selling these in falling markets, the key is you must love the stock, right? If it's at 12 and you're like, are super excited for the opportunity to buy it at 10 minus the premium, that's the stock that you sell it on. If you come in here and say, hey, look, NVIDIA's got this fat premium, and on exchange margin, I can make 50% over 3 months, they're going to put 100 shares to you at NVIDIA. As the stock drops 20%, you're going to be out a ton of money. Okay, I saw somebody doing this a few years ago on $1,000 stock. I'm like, dude, you don't get what you've just done here. Okay, but yeah, and again, this is something where I part company from most value investors, right? Well, you can't do options. Options are speculative tools, and they're and to a degree, I agree with that, right? I remember going into Blair Hull's trading room in Chicago one time with a friend. She was there to pick up some stuff for a charity thing that she and Blair were involved in. And Blair gave us a little tour of the building. So you've got the building, the offices, you've got the trading floor, and above the trading floor, the whole floor, Ryan, is air conditioners. Okay, this is back in the 90s.
Mhm.
The air conditioners are there because the computers he's using to price options are building up unsustainable levels of heat. I was like, I am never buying an option again. That's insanity. I am not trading against that guy. But selling them on stocks that you love. Okay. And then remember, don't go out there and say Tim Melvin told me to sell puts. I told you to sell puts by putting up at least half, preferably all of the cash, on stocks that you would love to own at a lower price. Okay. Now, somebody said something about protection. We do love, and this is something we'll get into another day because it's a long conversation. Love black swan hedging strategies where you go way out of the money.
Mhm.
When the VIX is down around 12, you go way out of the money and you buy super cheap put options as insurance.
Yeah.
I do actually love that strategy, but day to day put selling on stocks you love, especially you've got a stock that you love. The market's RSI is oversold. The 5-day is oversold on the stock. You've got a really great setup for selling a put option. Did not mean to go down the option selling wormhole today, but somebody opened it and I tumbled right in. So
you know what though? We're better for it. Buffalo by Bicycle says I sell puts all the time on stocks that I want to own. Anne Marie Band, our resident option queen. This is one of my favorite strategies. Love it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Anne Marie. It's so good to see you. She's one of my favorite people, guys. I mean, she talks about options, and I just sit there like this.
Yeah, I count one more, Tim. That's what we did yesterday. That's exactly what we did yesterday. So,
yeah, if you take a value strategy, or it works okay on a momentum, but it works better on a value strategy. Sell puts to get in, own the stock, collect dividends. Then when it's overvalued, right, start selling calls against it. Boom. Here's the thing. Nobody else is doing that except all of us. Okay. So we're all going to do this, right? Together. And then I get 15% of the profits. I'll get my address. Ryan will send it to you guys. No, kidding, SEC, kidding.
I'm just.
So anyway, guys, that's what technical indicators work. It's RSI, it's Williams percent R, trend following. Again, very low win rate, very big gains. But using these types of setups that Ryan and I are working together, we've made this a lot easier for you to find these setups in Benzinga Pro. So you'll be able to find these and just keep improving it, find them really easy and create opportunities for yourself. And just going back to the top of the show, guys, look, you cannot let politicians and politics influence what you're doing when you sit down with money on the line. Okay. If you belong to a particular political tribe and you want to dance around with joy at every pronunciation, or you want to thrash and moan and whine on the floor, rolling around and holding up little signs, well, then you should do that after market hours. Okay. Warren Buffett comes across as this great little grandfather guy. And I can tell you from people who've done it, if you sit down across the table from him in a business environment, he will cheerfully slit your throat over a nickel.
Cheerfully slit your throat. Didn't have that on my bingo card today either.
Here's one more quick true story. So Warren Buffett is buying this New England textile company. Okay. And he's got a big position in it and he's buying it up and he offers to sell his stock back to management. Now they agree on a price, right? Because management doesn't want Warren to do it. He's afraid they're going to take him over. It's super cheap. You could liquidate it at a profit. So they agree on a price, and I forget what the price is. It doesn't matter. But they come back, and the board has lowered the price that they're going to pay Warren for his stock by 1/4 point. Warren said, "No, I'm not doing that." And they said, "We agreed on this. That's the price." The guy said, "No, we got to lower it 1/4 point." Warren said, "To hell with you, the deal's off." A couple of days later, he made an offer, bought all of Berkshire Hathaway. So they'd had him out. They'd had him out over 1/4 point. So what's my point? When it's time for work, it's time for work. You want to get in and do the political thing?
Well said.
Do it after work.
Well said. All right, Tim, I know sometimes we come on here and you actually give us tickers. Today, you did us one better. You gave us something to look for in a strategy. And I'll say this, Tim, I think in some of our evening presentations, which I'll share here with the group, I think that we should maybe dive into this with a little bit more depth, both the trend settings that we're releasing for Pro, as well as some of these technical indicators. We'll marry them together. It'll be a real great session. Can't wait to do that.
You know what I'd love to do if Anne Marie is still on? I would love you, me, and Anne Marie to get on one night and get down and dirty on doing this, finding the stocks, looking at the trend, and finding the options to sell. I think that would be mind blowing.
Okay. Anne Marie is there. I will get to work on that. That's my promise at this end of the bargain. I will get to work on that. I will try and coordinate that. That sounds awesome. And folks, when we do put that together here, I will of course inform you. So anyone interested will also be able to join that. Anne Marie says she's in.
Okay. And by the way, guys, I did have about 25 tickers, but you're going to have to wait a week for them now because I got to run.
Okay. Well, that's Tim, a true salesman. Tim, we cannot thank you enough for all of your expertise. Have a great one.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the week.
All right. That is Tim Melvin. He never disappoints. Never, ever. disappoints. Really good stuff. Anne-Marie, I love when stuff just kind of comes together organically. Like I said, I will get started on the logistics of all of this. And when we get something on the docket and planned out, you folks will be the first to know about it. That much I can promise you. Okay, Tim's departure leaves room for 13. Let's bring on our guy. 13, how you doing here today?
I'm having a pretty good morning. Just kind of looking at some of these ideas that I have here, and I already told you about one of them yesterday during happy hour. That was my case for copper. Had the that congressional address yesterday, and that's one of the things that got mentioned: tariffs on copper. So I'm trying to see which ones are going to be the best plays. To me, it's going to be the ones that are the copper miners and producers that are in the United States, so that have mines in the United States. So got some some tickers that I'm looking at, but just want to make sure that these are the long-term holds that I want. We could get these tariffs on and off because of the year of the snake volatility, right?
You're the snake, baby. Let's go.
So keeping an eye on that, keeping an eye on the things that were mentioned last night. It's like folks have been saying, great to remain keep the politics separate from your trading, but they do have great catalysts. So you just got to keep your ear open, but your heart closed.
And so, oh, dude, that is perfect. 13. So you're bringing up a lot of really good points there, and I do just kind of want to emphasize leaving it. I like how, what was it? Leave your mind open,
your ears open and your heart closed.
Ears open and your heart closed. So it's important because some of this political stuff has a dramatic effect on the very instruments that we're taking a look at on a regular basis. It is imperative for us to make important, well-informed decisions that we know at minimum what's going on and how it's likely going to respond to these things that are coming out. Now, your personal feelings, I like what Tim said. Save that for after work. You want to do whatever it is that you want to do it after work, but do not let that affect your pocketbook. Do not let that affect your capital. I think that's gold. I think that's super, super smart. Real quickly here, Izzy, good morning. Futures down. Absolutely love it. You know what's funny about that is when I got on here, I was chomping at the bit. You can ask my producer. I was chomping at the bit to go live here this morning because I suspected that although we had green arrows across the board in the pre-market, they might not hold up because we've been seeing that. Well, what do you know? What do you know? S&P 500 futures here now going green to red, down 1/10 here. Dow futures down just over 1/10. NASDAQ barely hanging on to unch. That was down from 0.75% earlier today. So here in the pre-market, although we did see green arrows initially, that is starting to slip. We'll see how that shakes out here. Okay. 13, do you want to do the movers? Did you want to go through some of this? What do you want to do?
Let's get through the movers. We've got less than half an hour before we open here. I think we should just kind of iron those out, and we can start taking tickers from the chat and answer some questions.
Okay. I actually had to adjust this yesterday, so let me go ahead and do this again. Let me get my trusty filters in here for the movers. There we go. Float, nothing, price, volume, up, market cap. We need to do that. Pre-market gainer session, boom. Okay, we're going to start here. First one, CMRX. Looks like this is a buyout. Chimeric shares trading higher after the company entered into a definitive agreement to be acquired by Jazz Pharmaceuticals for $8.55 per share in cash. So no trade here, but I did want to cover it because look, the stock yesterday was $5. Today it's $8.40. And it's not moving, and you're out. If you had this, congratulations. Do your money dance, ring your cash register. CMRX buyout. That trade is over. Next here, it's going to be GV. This is Visionary Holdings. Again, ticker GV, Golf Victor, that ticker. Visionary Holdings shares trading higher after the company reached a financial consent letter worth $1 billion from Al Radan Group of Qatar to fund product R&D and the development of Pegasus new energy vehicle. This stock popping here 61%. Quick look around the horn here. Percent of float shorted 3.13% with 1.13 days to cover. Float here 2.25 million, right in our wheelhouse. 13, did you cover this one? You like this one?
This just started going not that long ago, so I didn't cover it, but this reports 2 times a year. Don't really have a read on their income based on the available data to me. Looks like they are going to need cash at some point soon, so that's something to be concerned about. Float very small, 2.25 million, like you said. So I think this is just going to be something where I just look at the technicals and see if I can find levels, because I don't know exactly how high this goes. It's I haven't had time to take a look at this, but I'll dive into
no
the
problem.
technicals.
We'll have time, and if you come up with those levels, we can absolutely go to that. I just want to kind of run down what's going on here. GV, definitely put this one on your watch list. We can reassess after that opening print and see where this one settles. Now, the next one here, I saw a number of chat members mentioning this from the outset here, and this is also one that we've traded before in this group. This is ticker SLXN. Sierra Lima X-Ray November. Selection Therapeutic shares are trading higher after the company announced groundbreaking initial data from its systemic administration of SIL-204 in orthotopic pancreatic cancer models. That's an easy one. I should have been able to get through that a little bit better. Stock here popping plus 40% here on that news. This thing was above $1. Actually, yesterday's price action held $1 here. Now we traded up towards 170. We're pretty much right at the VWAP right now. Short interest on SLXN, 3.8% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. Pretty negligible short interest there. 7.97 million shares in the float, and we're already almost 2x the average volume here prior to the market opening. 13, what do you got here on SLXN, if anything?
Yeah, this is initial data, so obviously there's going to be some more coming. They're going to need money in order to do that. And I look at their balance sheet, I'm not really that impressed. It's not a very good-looking balance sheet at all. So I would think that a capital raise is going to be coming here at some point with this one. Excuse me, unless they've done a capital raise, somewhere after their last earnings report. I didn't dive in that far, and I don't think that they really had anything that they were doing other than exercise of warrants. That happened late January. So aside from that, it seems like there's going to still need some more cash going to go further into this development of their SIL-204 drug, if that's what this is, I believe.
Is this what you were referring to here, the January 15th that's on the offerings calendar here for 135?
No, I was referring to the 3.3 million exercise of warrants. They had gross proceeds of 3.3 million. So that's likely not showing up on the balance sheet, which is understandable. But even with that 3.3 million, I still think that they're going to need cash, because the way that they burn cash, that's probably going to cover it maybe one quarter, but it could be a much higher cash burn rate if they're just now starting to ramp up research on this SIL-204, because this is just initial data that they had just mentioned. So
okay, so I have, courtesy of Benzinga Pro here, I have a secondary offering done on January 15th of this year, priced at 135 for 2.15 million shares outstanding.
Yeah, now this does look like it has some pretty good technical setups going on here. We did reach 172 in the pre-market here, coming down, trying to recapture VWAP since we're trading just underneath it. I'd like to see 150 hold up,
okay,
and in the pre-market, and if it does, and we continue to move up here, we might get some more of that into the open. So we'll see what we get when we get closer to the open. I'll go back over these that we are looking at, but it looks like it's trying to recapture VWAP right now.
Okay, really good stuff there. SLXN. Okay, we talked about those. Next one here, one we are all familiar with. BTAI. This actually had kind of a rough day yesterday, although it did a really good job holding the 250 handle here. Popped a little bit here today. BioXcel Therapeutics announces closing of a $14 million registered direct offering. It's your news here. This did pop as high as 360. We really backed off here, but held 3. We are beneath the VWAP, so we'll see if we can actually get a move back to the VWAP, perhaps cross it to the upside here. 11% of the float shorted with 1.12 days to cover. Float of 2.6 million thereabouts. What do you think on this one, BTAI?
I'm just going to rely on the technicals with this one.
Yeah,
because we've traded this a whole bunch, and yeah, great that they closed their offering. So don't really see a risk of them needing to raise capital today at least. But for me, it's just going to be, okay, well, is this thing going to get back above VWAP? And that's kind of what I'm focused on right now, is if this rebound off near the 200 EMA on the 5-minute is going to hold up, or if it's going to get another test and continue to get hammered before it falls through it. Want to see a recapture of that VWAP. So That's going to be at about 324. That's at least what I have. We'll see what happens when we get closer to the open, but I don't like this current price action right now. It looks a little bit more bearish and bullish.
Okay, really good stuff there. BTAI, and actually it looks like it's rolling over here. 3-test looks like it's coming up on deck. Next on the list here, YMM. Be careful saying the name of this company. Full Truck. Full Truck Alliance Company shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q4 revenue results. Stock was just over $11 just over $11.50 yesterday. Today we're printing above $13, 12.3% move here. Quick look, short interest 4.63% of the float shorted with 3.32 days to cover. A little bit more elevated than some of the other short interest that we've seen, but really nothing gigantic or something to really worry about here. Float 745 million. That's the big difference here with this one. Generally trades pretty thick, not one of these smaller names here. The earnings report beat on the top, beat on the bottom. And what did they say there? Initiates Q1 outlook there.
Share repurchase program.
This does look like a pretty good report here, 13. Q1 revenue, they see Q1 revenue up 15.9 to 18.1%. Giddy up.
Yeah, this looks like an actual real company. Real revenue is profitable. Has share repurchase program. I mean, they've got everything that indicates that this isn't just another junk stock. Moving on earnings. So, but because I just don't really know how high this is going to go. The float is really large. So we might open and it may become harder to trade. So don't have any levels of this right now. It wasn't didn't even know this was starting to go this morning, but we'll see if I can find some levels for you, and I'll make those available for you. I don't really have anything other than that. Just that it had great earnings and that it's an actual company.
Perfect, because we actually have some other stuff to go over. The next one here is going to be LAES, and this is another one that we have taken a look at, I feel like, pretty often here on this show. This is, of course, Seals Q here. It's had a wild day yesterday. Extremely weak in the pre-market, and then extremely strong in the regular session. It looks like some of that strength has carried over here to today. The pre-market, we popped right off the open. We're holding higher here, and we're actually holding right here at the VWAP at 271. Current price 273, excuse me. Short interest here, 19.8% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. So while that is an elevated short percent of the float, should be able to cover them all up. I wonder how long any type of squeeze would last on this one. Also, this stock also trades pretty thick. 98.5 million shares in the float on this one. Also 93. So here, piece of news on this one here. WiseKey provides healthcare security for decentralized digital currency. Seals Q stock climbs as company reveals $93 million sales pipeline, increasing the adoption of quantum-resistant tech. 13. What do you think? LAES.
I think we're going to be just kind of like last year. I think we're going to be seeing and hearing a lot about LAES, throughout this year. This one always seems to have some kind of news to move it around. One level that's really interesting to me is going to be $3. When you look at a daily chart, you draw a line at $3. You can see that was a pretty interesting support area, pretty much since the beginning of this year, and we lost it. We lost that support level at the end of February. So that's going to be a pretty big resistance area. If we manage to get through that, we could see some better movement in this one. But as far as the news goes, it's great. They've got news coming out all the time. I mean, this is I don't have a great read on their income statement from what I've got available in front of me, but I think that this is going to be one of these stocks that we see traded a whole bunch. Has some short interest, so a little bit of a squeeze action there, even though it's only a day to cover. Still think we need to pay attention to that $3 level because we've tried to get up to it this morning. Only got as high as 294. And when you look at the daily chart and you draw that line at $3, you can see that was a really strong support before it became resistance. I think that's going to be a big breakout resistance level.
Okay, real good stuff here. By the way, I don't know if you folks heard that, but my office assistant has decided to join me here. And I don't know if you just heard him, but he did just say hi and good morning to everybody. So, hi, buddy. They all say hi to you too.
What's his pick? Pick of the day.
Yeah, what ticker do you like here today? None? Chewy?
Probably not.
You're back on Chewy. Okay, did you see that? He's back on Chewy, it seems. Okay. Enough joking around. Buddy says hi to everybody. All right. Was there anything else in here? Maybe DB, Deutsche Bank? What's that?
There was Massaro was mentioning ARBB.
Okay.
Don't think we covered that one, but that was one that I saw that was moving. I took a look at it. It's under $1, so I'm not really that interested in it, but I still took a look at it. It's moving because it got a $45 million order. 15 million shares in the float. Don't have a real good read on their cash or their income, but I can provide some levels on this one because looks like 126 was the. I think the news came yesterday as well, so a little bit had a little bit of time already for this to play out. I would say I don't know that we're going to get back above the support area that it had yesterday in the after hours, which looks to be about 112. That's going to be the big resistance area if we get back over $1. So that'd be the thing to watch for with ARBB. If we move up over $1 going into the open or sometime during the regular session today, that 112 is going to be an important level to get over if we're going to see continued upside.
Okay, really good stuff here. Did you have any other movers here on the list? I didn't really cover this morning. You talked a little bit about Freeport here with the whole copper thing from last night. Moderna, this also, there's also news here on ticker MRNA. Moderna shares are trading higher after CEO Stephen Bancel disclosed a share purchase. So insider buy here on ticker MRNA. That's popping. That's pretty much all you need to know here on this one. NBIS, this has been a show favorite as well as the story trading folks. This one here a little bit higher. It's actually had a pretty nice day. Nice little move off that 27 level. Looks to be going a little bit higher here today.
I got TCBP that I took a look at. They had a letter of intent to acquire a company that's a commercial stage ophthalmic. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. A pharma company. 10 million shares in the float. Company still needs cash, but it was on the list of scanners today, so decided to take a look at it. Doesn't look like it's very good right now, though.
No, it actually looks like it gave back the entire thing here, down a point. More than a point from the highs. Okay.
Then real quick, saw Robert mentioning Lunar options.
That's tonight, right?
They are expected to land on the moon tomorrow or the day after, March 6th or 7th.
Okay.
So it's probably why you're seeing some of those options move right now. They're just trying to play the anticipated landing.
Lunar also pretty nice day, pretty nice little bounce from that opening sell-off yesterday, and this doing a pretty good job holding higher here too. Where we're at right now, definitely would watch for yesterday's intraday high followed by the pre-market high here, 1440. That's ticker LUNR. Okay, we can go to some other stocks that you want here, but I did really quickly want to go to CrowdStrike. I did kind of tease that earlier. I know that they reported earnings here. CrowdStrike really sank after earnings yesterday. If you recall, I had said that one of my themes here for this year is going to be cybersecurity. I'm absolutely still on that theme. And if you'll recall, this was not on my A list until the chat came here and corrected me. Shout out to the chat. Robert, Amanda, there were several of you. Lion, I think you were on this. There were several of you who really liked CrowdStrike here, so we'll add this one to the A list here. Now, CrowdStrike Holdings, shares are trading lower after the company reported Q4 financial results and issued Q1 and FY26. Or is that 26? Yeah, adjusted EPS guidance below estimates here. So looks like the guy did it again, right? Beat on the top and the bottom line. The soft guide made the stock trade lower here. And then, of course, we also had some price target re-ratings here this morning. Looks like KeyBank and Jefferies both lowered their price targets. Reiterates by maintaining price target from Needham. Piper Sandler raised the price target from 375 to 400. Bernstein lowered their price target. Rosenblatt maintained their price target. So it looks like we had kind of a all over the board movement here with some of the price targets here on CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike holding here down about 7.5% here today, but up off the lows. This one might be an intraday play here to the upside. Especially if the market holds together. I mean, we'll see. I know the market started green, went red, but it's trying to bounce. I don't know. We'll see how this shakes out.
We talked about yesterday why that guide likely is weak going forward in fiscal year 2025, and that's because CrowdStrike has U.S. federal contracts.
Mm-hmm.
So the thought here is because there's some cutting of that funding to a number of different companies, this is going to be one of them that could see such cut to funding. So that's the thought anyway. We might not be true, but it seems like that would make the most sense as to why they were guiding so low, and that's what we were kind of going with yesterday as far as why the guidance doesn't look as good going forward this year.
Okay, real good stuff there. Real good stuff there, Teen. Let's see, what do we got? 6 minutes. What do you want to? Any other stocks? I think it's ticker time now.
Well, I guess we might have to start with Tesla then. That's always the hot topic after ticker after movers. So
say less. Let's go to Tesla here. Here's your Tesla chart. If it's difficult to see, we can temporarily hide the Fibonacci here, but probably shouldn't, because yesterday's candle basically tested two of these Fibonacci levels. We stayed in between there and it tested it perfectly. Those levels here are going to be the 0.786 level and the 0.618 level, that golden level there. Looks like a 22-point range, and Tesla pretty much stayed right inside it. The big takeaway here for me on Tesla, we are beneath that 200-day moving average. And if we can recapture this, close above it, maybe even close above it twice, I think this thing can really kind of trade back up towards the actual, on this chart here, the volume point of control lines up perfectly with the 100-day moving average at 345. I don't see that as out of the question if we get a nice recapture here on Tesla. 13, I am curious to hear what you think about some of these levels.
Still have my 273 and 60 cent level that I have left out there. And normally I don't like adding, decimals to some of these handles. It's much easier just to have the round number. But I put 273.60 because of the high that we got back in October. And the low that we just put in on Friday the 28th. So, excuse me, thought that was a interesting level to mark off, see how we trade around it. What's more important to me, though, is making sure we can recapture the 200-day SMA. Tried to do that yesterday, didn't get it to happen. That gives it 2 more days before I would start to kind of turn a little bit more bearish on Tesla and think it's going lower. I think it has to recapture that 200-day SMA to change sentiment. If we start trading down some more, looking for that gap to fill that was created between November 5th and 6th. That was, of course, the election gap. And that gap fills at 246.21. So to the downside, that's the area I'd be looking at for some support.
Okay. Also here, Tesla shares drop in Europe. So I see Allsorts here saying Tesla 49% reduction of China deliveries for February. We didn't have time to get to this story earlier, but I'm going to give it to you anyway here through the link in the chat for you. Tesla sales also drop in Europe in February. Some countries down over 40%. The writer here is asking the question if this is attributed to Musk's political happenings, I guess we could say. Here are some of the stats for that. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on here. Just figured I'd give this to you if this is something that you're interested in. Izzy, I know the Joe Tooney, I'm seeing it break right now. I know I haven't read about it yet. I'm trying to keep my eyes on the prize here, but man, oh man, it's today might be a really good day. Appreciate you mentioning that. So real quick here, take a look at this article if you want to factor in some of the unit deliveries here for Tesla. And then the other thing that I wanted to share with you, and I will continue to share this with you on a monthly basis if you guys like it. Story is in the chat here. Isn't an exclusive. These are February's 20 most searched tickers on Benzinga Pro. So Chris Catchy does a really good job aggregating data in here, and you can see what other Benzinga Pro members, what tickers they're looking at here listed in order. So there you go. Chris asked me if I thought that the group would like this. I said, yes, I'm always interested in what the community is looking at and what they're punching up here. So I figured, yes, send that over to me and I will share it with you every time I get it. So that is in the chat here too. Let me go back to Pro here.
Yeah, Jane, we did cover GV for, I'm not going to get too into it, but 261 is the next level I'm looking at for as an upside target. That's where I think the next resistance might come.
Okay, sorry. Reading the Joe Tooney news there. Bears offensive line up. Really good stuff here. Okay. Where are we at here? We are about to open. Yeah.
Yeah, we're close to opening. We just talked Tesla. Is there one more ticker that we can maybe look at real fast before we get the bell?
Yeah, let me know if there's something that you guys want. BTAI, I know, just got mentioned here that we talked about as being a mover here. Let me see if I can get my
it's back up to
there.
VWAP. That's curling. This one could probably. I mean, this gets to the volume out of the open. We could see that movement over VWAP and push higher into the threes.
Okay. Lion says, I'm buying a leap put on Tesla next earnings report for Tesla. It's going to be a bloody hell. Damn. Oh, and then also AV. Thank you, Crocodile Dumb Me. AV. Excuse me. We have talked a lot about some of the drone plays here. One of the things that we had talked about AV is that this is a drone best in class play here. Aero Environment shares trading lower after Baird cut its price target on the stock from 220 to 260, to 146. But I believe we also had earnings. Yep, miss on the top of the bottom line. 10 seconds. We're about to open. Giddy up. Let's go.
Oh, man.
I tried to time that perfectly. I was off by a second and a half there.
Well, thanks. All right, what was that one that you were just mentioning? Somebody was talking about. Oh, yeah, so LAES is, we talked about that. 3 is the level that I'm watching for on that one. Okay. All right, what do we get?
Also, really quick here, poll results. I had asked earlier, this was before you got on 13, where do we get the next 5% on the SPY? Up, down, stay flattish, or not sure? Here are your results. 32% of you said down, 29% of you said up, 20% of you said stay flattish, and 17% of you said not sure. Producer asked me if Buddy voted. Yes, Buddy voted for down.
All right, so let's see what we got here. So GV popped at the open, went to 240, not quite up to the 261 we're looking for, but we'll see what we end up getting there. BTAI.
Foot Locker here ripping out of the gate. They had earnings here this morning. It looks like the conference call is over. The stock trading higher here, $19+. Which one did you have, BTAI?
I just switched over to that one. Yeah, that one's giving us the result we were looking for. We wanted to see this volume and to take us over VWAP. Getting that so far, but running up to resistance around the 337 area. In the pre-market, that was a pretty interesting level of resistance. Got as high as 364, but no closes over, what's this here? No closes over 338.
Okay. BBAI pulling now. Izzy mentioning Uber. I'll take a look, actually screaming that Uber is strong here. Uber moving out of the gate. We'll see if this can actually break yesterday's intraday high. That would be a level to look at. 665 is the value that I have there. See what else we got.
SPY trying to curl up here, coming off the pre-market low of 575.86.
NVIDIA, the first move was higher. That's pulling now. Watch the pre-market lows here on NVIDIA, 116. They continue to sell big cap tech. Apple down. Amazon curling. Izzy, I don't know if you saw the Amazon move yesterday. It was an awesome dip by the way. Look at this. Look at this dip by 198. Yeah, I know you were talking to, I think 197 something or 198.50. Izzy, that was, you know what? That's a registering because that was a monster. I know that most of this materialized in the afternoon here, but good Lord. Amazon crossing the VWAP. This actually might try to go higher too.
See Amazon. I want to see what that's doing. And still a nice move off of a 200-day SMA.
I'm going to leave the Amazon chart here for you. 1 sec. I'll be right back.
All right. So, low RSI, 200-day SMA bounce. That's what we're getting so far out of Amazon. Not sure where some of this resistance is going to end up being, but 216 might be an interesting resistance level. So let's see what we get from that. Looks like BTAI still trying to push over VWAP. I'm not sure about these upper shadows they're putting in here, but hopefully we get a spike in volume that takes us up higher and kind of erases those. We do want to see a move over that 338 level. Even 345 would be better, to be honest. What we got here? Got Amazon 195. Well done, Izzy. All right, so just waiting to see if BTAI continues to move up. Looks like SLXN could not hold VWAP. GV, this one also might get going here. Kind of a neutral candle at the moment. 1 minute left in it. Still looking for 261 in GV. ARBB, that one lower out of the gate here. TCBP not doing a whole lot after giving everything, that entire move back.
Okay. TCBP, huh?
Yeah, well, we just took a look at that one. BTAI still trying to get a close over that
Nice.
VWAP. Let's see, YMM. This selling now after popping up to 13.15 at the open. Plus VWAP coming down to some support area around 12.15. It's about where the 65 EMA is. We'll see if it gets some reversal action there. Lots of things just kind of selling out of the open. Oh, but look at this, GV right up to 260. So that almost hit our spot. This is moving up now, trying to take out 261. Let me see if I can get some other levels here for you. Looks like, I guess we could say 270, but that doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of meat on that if I just throw that out there. $3 also looks pretty good.
Profit Logic saying, quote, this stream is like 5 minutes delayed. Okay. That is absolutely 100% on your end. Try refreshing, try closing it and joining back. We put no delay on the stream, no delay at all. It is all dependent on your connection. I don't think I've ever heard someone report that it's 5 minutes. You can absolutely fix that. Just try giving it a refresh, boss.
Yeah, I've been running into a whole bunch of problems with YouTube, not as a streamer, but as a viewer. And it's not this channel. It's like a lot of channels.
This particular person is actually viewing it on X. So,
probably even more of a delay.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, I don't think it should be 5 minutes delayed. Definitely try refreshing. That is not a normal case.
Here goes GV taking out 260. Trying to go
you
higher.
have? And I'm sorry, I kind of ran you over. Did you have levels on this that you wanted to give? I feel like you were just saying that.
Oh yeah, I had the 261 was one that we're taking out now, and I said 270 could be one, but I felt that was a little bit too close. $3 looks like the next best upside target here for this one.
Look at Jane. Look at Jane. GV out, 258. Day is done. Register ring, Jane. Jane, I remember not long ago you were saying how difficult things were, and we here as a group told you that things were going to get better, and you went ahead and showed us that that is exactly what is going to happen. Way to go, Jane. Way to go.
And now she gets to go and have a great rest of her day. And, we just opened 6 minutes ago.
Absolutely love it.
BTAI getting hammered now?
And actually, I see a lot of tech stuff moving down here. Apple pounding the lows. NBIS, which we had talked about a little bit earlier here, that at the lows. So again, one of the things that I had set up right out of the open is, where do we close here today? Do we pull? Futures were green in the morning. Do we kind of go negative here? Look at App Lovin' from yesterday. Anyone take that trade that Anne-Marie gave out on App Lovin'? App Lovin' here, rolling over here today too, at least so far. NVIDIA, we checked on that earlier. That has started to bounce. We'll see if that can get rolling here. MicroStrategy rolling over here. Bitcoin back below 90K.
GV got up to 295 before it pulled back down under 261. So just 5 cents short of that $3 target, but doesn't quite look like it's finished yet. Well, we need to see some additional candles here. At least I do, before I would kind of throw in the towel on this one. This one still has some pretty good attention on it. We'll just wait and see. But that was a really nice move up to 295, almost $3.
Okay. Now, patience out of the open worked for me yesterday because I was 1 for 1 on day trades yesterday, and it was mass. It was critical mass, one might say. I'm going to adopt the exact same policy until I feel better here about being more aggressive. I'm going to be patient and tactical and try and make only high quality trades on high quality setups. Okay. All right. SPY rolled over a little bit. NASDAQ leading the way down. Dow is still holding in there, holding in green. That is the only one that is SPY's at unch. So it is basically right there.
WMM, the Chinese logistics company, that is trying to reverse here. Just and this could push up beyond the 13, 15 level. But just remember, this is the one that has the real heavy float. I think it's like 750 million shares. So just temper your expectations about how high this could go because it's very, very heavy to move. But it is giving some pretty good movement right now.
SLXN might be trying to curl. I would actually, on this one, instead of trying to gamble on this one, I would actually wait for a confirm and move above the VWAP or even closer to the VWAP.
That sounds good. And I've seen that Line Atlas was mentioning Huntington Ingalls. That's a HII. This is moving up off of the announcement of increased production of shipbuilding in the U.S. Announced by Trump at the congressional address.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting more movement from some of the things that he's saying. So this could let's see. We had a pre-market high of 196. That would be great if we got back up there, but that's kind of where I would peg the breakout level.
Okay, good stuff there.
Looks like BTAI is trying to recapture. It's back above 3, trying to turn around and come back up. Still beneath VWAP though. VWAP I have at 323.
Moderna trying to take those highs out, those pre-market highs. See if that can get rolling here. Let me check in on GV. That is still pumping here, boy.
Yeah, it still has some pretty good volume. Not liking the candle we just had, but I'm not saying that this is over yet. Just might need to wait for the next setup.
I was just going to say, what do we think on a pull to the 240? And not just you, 13. Chat, what do we think here on a pull back to the 240? Anyone? Pull back to the VWAP and a hold here, you think does that constitute another setup?
I would think. I don't know if a quick bounce off of the VWAP would necessarily be the setup I'd be looking for. But if we kind of slow down the selling and consolidate above the VWAP, I think that would be a good indicator that this is trying to set up to go higher.
NVIDIA trying to bounce. So too is the NASDAQ with this. And actually, a look around. Apple's trying to bounce. AppLovin is bouncing. Tesla is trying to bounce. Hello Alto, that selling stopped. We'll see if that bounces here yet.
Yeah, Apple's still trading.
Sorry to interrupt, but SLXN. Oh, okay. Watch SLXN here on the VWAP. I just talked about it. We're trading back up towards. Let's see if we can get above that. 13. I'm sorry for running you over.
Okay. No worries. I'm looking. I got 233 marked off as an important level for Apple. This was a resistance turn support level. So. 233. If we lose that, I think that we are going to have a date with the 200-day SMA. All right, and looks like we're just kind of holding in between 260 and 270 right now with GV. SLXN, got keeping an eye on that one. If we continue with these wicks on the bottom here, that might be a good indicator that this is trying to retake that VWAP. Need better volume though.
Okay.
ARBB, after selling out of the open, that is now recapturing VWAP and trying to go higher. Looking for a recapture of $1. We had that in the pre-market, but when we opened, we just lost it almost immediately. Have been struggling to recapture $1 in the pre-market ever since. So if we get back above there, then we would want to be looking at maybe 112 as the resistance area. I think I mentioned that in pre-market as well.
ARBB looking like it's going to try it for the $1 holla here. We'll see. Mass, by the way, this also on the scanner. This trying to break and go higher here. So another move higher here. And this was actually after earnings, was it not? Yeah. So this stock here reporting positive earnings yesterday, trading up and then holding it, right? Not even giving it back yesterday and trying to go higher here today. So MASS, another nice move here. Hans shouting out a new long here, ASTS. Is that for a trade there, Hans? Just a short trade here. It's nice mode. Nice little break of yesterday's intraday high here, Hans. Like we got to go here.
Buffalo, I didn't put out any copper tickers. The chat did mention some earlier. They mentioned FCX.
Yeah, is the big one.
You could look at ICOP. That's an ETF. There's also BHP Group, but you want to focus on the ones that are that have mines inside the United States, because that's what this whole tariff thing is about. It's going to, raise prices on all imported, copper. So the local miners here will be like, well, hey, we can still capture a premium if the tariff prices are raising everybody else's to this level. So let's just move up our prices a little bit and get some of that extra premium. So that's what I'm expecting to happen here with copper. If these tariffs hold on.
Okay, that's not a bad thesis there. Izzy saying mass is getting ready to go. I mean, this is already kind of going here. If I were trading this from where it's at, I basically want to see this hold above VWAP so we can have some more moves to the upside here, more strength to the upside. Someone else mentioned GUR earlier. I noticed that this dipped and then turned around really, really quickly. GUR here really needs to take out this 41, this pre-market level. God, I feel like when we first started talking about GUR, the stock was $3, $4. Yeah. Yep. We traded it in here too. What a move on that.
Yeah.
What a move on that. Kind
of turned into a real company.
Yeah, sure did.
All right. Looks like GV trying to push back up here after testing the VWAP. That was, I don't think I made that call, but somebody did. And that was a really good minute. I think you said that.
I asked I said, chat, is this a buy if it comes into VWAP? Well, we came towards VWAP, but we didn't actually quite print it. But so far here we bounced. So I reiterate, 13, if this does actually test VWAP and hold, is it a possible long setup?
I was just going to say, if we get through 261, then probably yes. My VWAP actually did get touched here. It was because my VWAP's at 234, 244 almost. So I think that's a little bit higher than yours. But it's trying to recapture.
So it did touch yours then. So that ended up working then.
Yeah. So now it's coming back down to test it again. It looks like. Just be careful of this one because, like I said, the 261 level, that's the level that we need to hold above, and we are not above it right now. So here we are back down to VWAP. Now we don't want to see this continue to get hammered, or otherwise it's going to fall through it. Okay, so that's
I'm gonna go through some of these here. QMMM, which was this a quantum name? QMMM Holdings.
So now we're through VWAP on GV, and the next support area that I have is going to be at $2. 216 would be probably first, but after that, $2.
SLXN, maybe through VWAP. Eat it, the gene editor, this continuing to move here. By the way, there was a Cathie Wood story from earlier that I also could not get to. I'll throw that link here in the chat. We're kind of talking about the gene editing space here. Cathie Wood, bold moves. 8 straight days of buying Beam Therapeutics as the stock soars 14% here. So I know Cathie's kind of polarizing. People love her, people hate her. They don't agree with her moves, but in any case, this is what's going on here. Your link to that story there is in the chat. Eat it, one of those gene editors here. More new highs. This has been a great buy from that CRISPR upgrade, about 130.
She has some good plays.
Yeah.
That I've followed. Like Archer's one of them.
Yeah. So absolutely.
And of course, she's a big Tesla bull too, so I'm sure she did pretty well last year.
Up GV, big pull here. Snapped the VWAP, didn't actually hold. So this is why I was asking. This is why I put those conditions there on the VWAP hold for moves just like this. Next support here on the let's see. It's not even close. I'm going to actually leave this here on the 5-minute. Acon getting a watch from WIS. Recapture of the VWAP here on Acon.
SLXN with a pretty big green candle here. Looking to take out 170. That's the big resistance area right now. Lots of sellers right at 170. So we get a big spike in volume that takes those out. We could see this going a little bit of a run here. Let me see where we might end up having that go to. So $2 looks like that's going to be a spot. Looks like 3 as well. I would just say 2 and 3. There might be some resistance around 240, 245 as well. So I would say 2, 245, 3, and then 330. The next upside levels for SLXN if we get this volume expansion.
Okay, SLXN, this actually, I mean, let's see. This is looking like this is going to try and pop the top off here. We don't see a lot of these either. We don't see a lot of these upside breaks, but it looks like, by the way, whoever said that they were long ASTS earlier, I actually forgot who that was. What a call. That was Hans. Hans, let's go. Great call there on ASTS. Ring that register. Make sure you get some profits booked on that. What did I miss?
No, I'm just laughing at Buffalo by bicycle, just saying I used to love her, now hate her.
Yeah, that's, like I said, Kathy's polarizing.
All right, so LAES, that one doing nothing of the sort that we were looking for today. Could not get above VWAP at all.
One thing to remember here on LAES, especially given yesterday, maybe I agree. This definitely shows some weakness here, and it did not do what we had hoped it has done. But I'd watch some of these levels here for reversal. This stock has a tendency to reverse pretty hard, and that actually might set up a trade. So maybe put it on the back burner at least. But I agree with you. Did not do what we had hoped here out of the open. Twitter, is he saying that Twitter traders are pumping SLXN? That's not a surprise. I'm willing to bet that there's probably a Discord group or two that are doing that, to be quite honest with you.
Well, we did pop up to 178, but still not able to close above 170 yet. And kind of curious if we're going to even get this reversal in BTAI. It's putting in some pretty interesting wicks on the underside of these candles here, but need to see that volume come back if it's going to take us up to VWAP.
See, how's Bitcoin doing? Bitcoin here holding below 90K. Okay. EA, by the way, that trailer EA position that I had on, that's actually not dead. I thought this was going to expire worthless. These were the 140 calls that expire in March. We got 16 days. This not far away. Sure. EA can break this. We got something here. Let me go to Gur. Sorry about that. 13.
No worries. That's so Robert was mentioning this earlier this morning, yesterday on the chat. I was talking about how this had a nice engulfing candle, bullish engulfing candle. So this upside movement here, not really that surprising. The technical setup was there, but man, is this thing really? I don't want to say it's super extended, but it seems like it's going to have to cool off here at some point.
CrowdStrike taking the next leg down post those earnings here, minus 11% here on CrowdStrike. Boy, we are okay. Let me actually go to a bigger chart here on CrowdStrike. We'll take a look and see if we can figure out what those next levels are. Give me one sec. Boop.
SLXN trading down, but still above VWAP for the time being, trying to hold that. If we lose it, then the trade may be over for the moment.
Yassine, you were mentioning Crowd. There was someone else mentioning Crowd. 530 saying, what's the nearest support on CrowdStrike? Has the move down already happened? Just already happened. So we are currently in the move down here. Looking at this daily chart, I think this is a 200-day magnet on ticker CRWD. I've got that 200-day moving average value at $333.41, 42 cents. That represents another 15 points lower than where we're at. Just looking at the daily chart here, it seems totally feasible for this stock to move to that next as a support level. So you were asked, 13, do you have any other levels? We were getting asked about a support level. This is the one that stands out to me.
That's one that stands out to me too. But if I was going to put just an actual number to it, I know that the current 200-day SMA is at 333.41 cents. I would put a line at 335, just a horizontal line at 335. See how that's been an important support level. Since the end of the last couple of months of last year. So and before that as well. So it's been a frequent support turn resistance turn support level. That would be one of the big levels I'd be looking for a close above.
Oh man, reverse. You are spot. Look at this. Did you mention this from 2024? Look at that. Clear as day, 13.
Yeah, so that would be the big level I'd be looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. And that lines up really nicely with the 200. There you go. Here's your support. 13. Well, I knew I could count on you. There you go. There's your new support level.
All right. So nice holding up the VWAP and SLXN. I probably said that weird, but it didn't break down beneath the VWAP. It traded a little bit low beneath it, but it's trying to recover. So there could be some gearing up for the next move up here in SLXN. We're still looking for that $2 print.
Okay. Elkneer here saying, done for the day, made 6K today. Thanks to whoever made the call that made my day. That reminds me of Ocean's 11. I still owe you from that thing with the guy in the place.
Oh yeah, that one.
I've never been to Belize. Anyway, congrats. That sounds like a really good day. It's a 6K kind of day, it seems like, for you. Moderna here holding higher. Here's your XLSN setup that you were talking about. Looks like that did try to bounce off the VWAP here, SLXN.
Yeah, it's just still trying to get it, over that 170 mark and get a close above it. We have traded higher than 170 in the regular session here, but it's not been able to close above that level. So I think as soon as we see that close above 170, that might be the move it needs to go up to 2. So, and here comes CrowdStrike still coming down. At 345, so it still needs another $10 to go down before it hits that support level I just mentioned.
VNDA, Vanda Pharmaceuticals here. This is actually ramping. Nice little breakout here too. Look at that. Wow, look at. Okay, so we're actually at another level here. Let me take a look. Just boy, these time frames. This is actually a pretty interesting setup here on Vanda. Maybe watch Vanda, ticker VNDA through 5 here. I think that move measures to 550, frankly.
Folks mentioning GV.
Watch this one.
That one's trying to recapture VWAP as well.
It did on mine. This actually did recapture VWAP on mine. Let's see if we can get rolling here.
Yeah. So and then we're going to be looking at the 261 level that we were looking at as the target earlier that we ended up getting, and it moved over, but now it's beneath again. So 261, then 270, then 3. Those are the levels I have here, and then we can look for others if it gets above 3.
Wisdom here. We all know Ryan is like Clark Kent, except without the glasses. And at the end of the show, he shapeshifts into a superhero in Chicago, fighting for all of the birds and cats. A hero to many, but known by none. I got to say, Wisdom, you make a great commercial for the potency of weed in Hawaii. It has got to be completely off the hook out there for you to come up with something like that.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to respond to that. Like
fan fiction. That's what it is.
Wisdom puts a smile on my face every day, and I can count on it. Izzy here mentioning SPY puts are coming in. I actually just watched an individual stock unusual option flow, but we did roll over here. Watch for the pre-market lows to fail right here. We did. We just did it. We did it live. We'll do it live together.
Well, I guess that means SQQQ trade's back on. Looks like we're still getting that movement down towards our level in CrowdStrike. I mean, this just looks like it could end up hitting that 335 and then rebounding. Look at how low the RSI is. Look at where the 200-day is. If we get that 335 print, I have to think we might see a reversal here, especially with this how big the movement down is. So that's kind of what I don't want to say it's a guarantee, but I really think that that's what we're going to end up seeing here is a rebound off 335.
Here's your market pull across the board. SPY, Dow, Qs, everything pulling here. Hans says the bears are back in more ways than one. Am I right? Am I right? Oh, that feels good. Thank you, Hans. You're right. Bears are back. Bear down, baby.
All right. Well,
13's like, there's no way I'm going to repeat that. I would rather die.
You have your moment, buddy.
There we go. And it's notably in the off season. Oh, okay. Done making fun of myself here. Eat it. Also 210. Maybe watch that. If that can roll higher here, I'll tell you what, these G-netters, I think there's going to be another trade in this.
GV, we're doing some breakout stuff right now. Just went up to that 271 or 270, right? Actually, looking for 3 if we can get over 271.
This will do a Nice little VWAP cross there. SLXN lost the VWAP this time. I guess it's trying to recapture it there. I don't try. I think I like the GV a little bit more than this. EEKE, that's moving higher here, not on that. GER kept going. Looks like 43 is your resistance there on GER.
Oh, yeah, right up to 43. That was nice.
Acon still trying to get above and then maybe build above that pre-market high print. We've peaked above it a couple of times here, but we haven't held above it.
I would not be surprised if we got over 50 in GER at some point. I don't know if it's going to happen today, but if we continue with this momentum, I think that 50, hold on a second. It's probably going to be 53 that we're going to want to keep an eye on. $53
for GER.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
that one looks interesting. That level. All right, so GV. Ooh, I just switched over to it to watch it do this. Big nasty pull after hitting that 271 level. Now
you want to talk about a nasty pull? Okay. Apple has been nothing but sell out of the open. Now, volume here, 6.8 million shares versus an average of 51 million. We got all day to do it, but man, oh man, Apple down 1.7% here, and there is just no bounces. Let's see, do we?
Yeah, that went right through the 233. That's not good.
Nope.
So I have 230 as the next potential support before we hit the 200-day SMA. So 200-day SMA is going to be at 226.60. Mm-hmm. So let's just mark that off. We'll say 230, 230, and then 226.60.
Okay.
Looks like BTAI is trying to make a return here. Still beneath VWAP. Has a lot of EMAs to get through. Volume needs to be better. Temporary expectations for this one.
We actually had a short-term trend break here on Apple on that move down. By the way, NVIDIA, lots of options being traded here. I can't, directional. It's calls and puts here. NVIDIA bouncing currently.
A SPY bouncing as well. Hit 575 exactly, and then turned around.
Tell you what. Tesla reversing.
Jeez. That just the SPY candle we just got kind of nullified a lot of the pre-market bearish price action.
NASDAQ is green, Dow is green. Are we having fun yet, folks?
I think we just got some economic news, didn't we? Some economic headlines. Yeah, ISM manufacturing just happened not that long ago.
Yeah, ISM manufacturing. So here we go. A couple of things here. ISM non-manufacturing PMI for February, 53.5 versus the 52.5 estimate. ISM non-manufacturing prices for February, 62.6 versus the 60 estimate. Factory orders month over month for January, 1.7 versus the 1.1 estimate. The prior read was -0.6. Durable goods, excluding defense, months over month for January, 3.5 versus 3.5 estimate. There's some data prints in there. Did we get anything else on here on the Twitter streets?
No, but this is the kind of price action we're going to be getting a lot of.
Sorry, I'm looking around here. If there's anything else that I'm missing.
GER made a new intra-session high of 43.89. BTAI is trying to come back up and recapture 3. GV, even though it had a nasty candle, it's still trading sideways, even if it is sideways underneath my VWAP. Not liking the way the MACD looks, but it hasn't indicated yet that we're for sure going lower, even though it still looks like we probably will be going lower.
Yeah, sweet one here. Specify. I see you saying Supreme Court, Supreme Court, Supreme Court, Supreme Court. More context, buddy. More context, less spam.
Did they just? I mean, I hear that SCOTUS just slapped Trump that from 5:30. So I'm assuming that there must be some kind of ruling or some measure that they just put in to stop one of his policies.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I wanted to see what was going on there, and I didn't see it here. Why I'm asking for some more context here.
Gotcha.
Good spot though. Good spot. Let's not lose that here.
YMM. I really hate flagging this one because it's such a large float, but it's trying to push back up towards the 13.15. Now at $13, trying to go higher. It's a large float one. I don't want to get anybody excited about it, but it does look like it's trying to push up to the intersession highs right now. LAES looks like that's trying to put a bottom in. If it does, and it starts to come back up here like it's been trying to, it looks like 255 is the level it needs to close over. SLXN pretty much sideways. I wonder if the market's kind of holding their breath.
Looking across here, green.
Thank you, Jim. And 530. Sorry to interrupt you.
Well, no, it's fine. Here, Jim. Okay, Supreme Court. Thank you, guys. This is why the chat is awesome. Sweet one. This is what we were asking for earlier. Supreme Court rejects Trump's request to keep billions in foreign aid frozen. So is that the USAID?
Yes, USAID contractors. That's what this is about.
Okay.
All right. I can't think of anything that we could play off of that.
Me either.
Moment, except for just like some broader market.
I was going to say me either. Just kind of enjoying that what it's doing here to the market and some of the other plays. I'm the same. I'm struggling to think of a way you can play that directly. We did see someone here was mentioning AV is bouncing hard. Oh yeah, it is. Oh my gosh, 19-point move off the open here. AV.
Yeah, this may have been really overdone on the selling. Because let's see, where are we back at? We're back to September 2023 lows. Jeez, it's quite a sell-off. Oh, look at YMM still trying to move up. Still looking for 13.15. Yeah, that is a massive bounce. But had lower RSI as well. So probably several things you're seeing here with this one. That head and shoulders pattern that kind of slanted. We're getting the resolution of, at least that could have been the resolution of it there, to be honest. Let's see if it can close above 121.32.
Okay. Also, you were saying earlier about market kind of holding its breath. 13. Don't forget, Howard Lutnick has been saying since yesterday to expect some type of word on tariffs this afternoon. By the way, through all of this here, I know we're talking about the market bouncing here. Breath has turned from all negative to all positive. SPY, Dow, Qs, Russell, and Nice all positive on the breath rating there.
So with AV, we're filling a gap that we created with this earnings. We opened much lower. The gap fills at 135.17. So that's a level to watch for.
Here's a market overview here for you. It's like Apple, really the biggest red square. Energy, which we talked about this morning, seems to be the sector that is bringing us down. But everything else here in the green, industrials especially. Information technology doing pretty good outside of CrowdStrike and Apple.
TRNR trying to recapture its VWAP. MACD showing it as curling back up. This 272 is what I'm looking at with this one. I don't like the way the volume looks right now. I think it needs to be better than this if we're going to try for 3, but it's not looking too bad right now. BTAI.
That move through VWAP. It's got the nice little volume pop there. That's good to see.
Yeah, good mention. Market Sniper SLXN wants VWAP. Trying to get it right now.
Yeah, that's worth watching for a move through VWAP. Also worth noting, we're getting some higher lows here on this 1 minute. Let's see what the 5 minute looks like. Same deal. Watch that through VWAP 156. Your spot there.
AVAV about to fill to that gap. And did we get it? Not quite. Almost, though. Almost got it.
Apple's starting to bounce. Amazon, Izzy, I know that you're all over that one here. Amazon, this also bouncing. Let's see if we can take out yesterday's intraday high, aligns with the pre-market high here today. Values at about 206 and 3/4. See if we can actually take that and go higher. That might be a long trigger there too, especially if the market continues to cooperate here.
Looks like LES is trying to turn around as well. A lot of these names that we were looking at this morning, they're trying to reverse. GV's trying to recapture VWAP, so going sideways is good for it because now it's trying to turn back positive here.
Jay here bringing up a good point. Tesla, tons of bad news out there, but the stock not going down here, at least not today. Actually, our lows here today holding above yesterday's lows as well. Market continuing to bounce here. Futures continuing to push higher.
So we got that gap fill in AVAV. That was nice.
I don't trade that one as much as I should. Eat it, new highs. Talked about that when it was right around 205. More new highs here on Eat It. How did Mass do? Oh, it just changed off my screen. Bummer.
Yeah, with regard to AVAV, you and me both. That was one of the best trades I never took.
Yeah.
I talked a lot about it too.
It's thin. It's thin, and it's not a very highly traded name. Definitely worth watching though.
Okay.
EA continuing to print higher here.
GV moving over my VWAP right now, looking for that 261 level again. We had a new slightly higher high in GRRR. 43.96 was the high I just put in. Be careful of this price action that we're getting here. If we can't not get over 44 and hold, I think we may come back in a little bit.
Was Wix giving you some trepidation there? Wix on the 5-minute right there at the top?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Another pull in GV. Well, we might get a turnaround again. In a lot of
airlines trying to bounce here. That was a huge rip. That's trying to go back toward the highs here. Let's see what else is going on. Netflix, Apple's still holding lower.
Micron having a great day.
So let me ask you, with some of these moves up that we're seeing here, are these bear market moves up? Because we had just talked with Tim earlier, he had warned that, hey, even when we're in a bear tape, you might get some of these bounces that are really kind of tremendous. Is that what we're seeing here? Is this maybe a shortable pop, I guess is the question.
Possibly, and I think what happens a lot of times is when you do get these big, pops in the bear market, it's not just people trying to buy in the low print, but also shorts covering. So I would think that's a big component of why you're seeing those really big moves up in bear markets. It's both the longs and the shorts, covering positions and taking positions. For me right now, if I'm looking at a daily chart in the SPY, we're kind of in a little bit of a sideways pattern right now. I don't know how we're going to end up closing. Of course, we're in an environment where a piece of news comes out and the market goes the complete opposite direction that it was all day. But I'm watching for the price to recapture 580. Yesterday that was a big level, closed beneath it. I think 580 is going to be the big level on my radar to get back over if we're going to come back up and start trading up again. If we get rejected at 580, we already had one rejection. Get a couple more days, maybe if the rest of the week trades underneath 580, I think I'd be a little bit more bearish going in the next week, provided there isn't any news coming out over the weekend.
Yeah, and I all of that stuff is pending whatever types of crazy headlines we get. Really quick question here. Looking at a 15-minute chart here on Palantir. See this near-term bottom here at about 80. Looks like a little bit of a double bottom. Also noticing that back here, we do have this gap. That's, I believe, from its earnings. What do we think on a potential long here above maybe 89? I did also see that some calls are getting bought here. The 88 calls. Looks like there's some bullish call flow here on Palantir. Possible trade setup here if we can get above 89.90 on Palantir. This is one of our popular stocks, if you will, here.
I wouldn't pay too much mind to the gap that has already been filled. You're talking about the February 3rd to.
Yeah, I mean, it got filled to the downside. I'm wondering here if there's anything on the way back up.
Well, for me, I think it would be the recapture of the 50-day SMA. That has, we lost the 50-day SMA. There's been attempts to recapture it. March 3rd, Monday, that was, where we opened above there, but ended up closing beneath it. And we've been closing beneath it ever since. That's 4 closes beneath the 50-day SMA now, and we are still trying to recapture it. I have to think that if we continue to not recapture that 50-day SMA, we're going to 70. Wisdom, Nokia. The one thing that I know that there's some other things going on with it, but the most recent thing that I thought was interesting about Nokia is that they have communication systems on that Intuitive Machines lander to communicate with the other rovers and devices that are on board that lander. So maybe if the Faloona happens to land and doesn't tip over and starts deploying everything and communications working well, you might see some movement in Nokia. I don't know how much of a material impact it's going to have on the stock. But that's the most recent thing that I've been paying attention to with regard to Nokia. That they are in space.
Okay. All right. Go back. I'm just gonna kind of chill on the 5 here. Let's see, is mass. Man, this is still holding up here. This is still worth watching here. MASS. No position yet, but I think that this might go, or at least showing it could. Tesla, that bounce has kind of got stopped here.
Let me take a look at that. Yeah, it's going to be the same thing with me with Tesla. We just need to get back up that 200-day SMA. That's the big thing I'm focusing on. For trading purposes, you could mark off the 273.60. That's a level that we need to see recaptured as well, but nothing more important to me than the 200-day SMA on Tesla. Lots of things just kind of in a sideways pattern right now.
Yeah, no great setups here. SLXN is still worth watching. Frankly, until we break down from this intraday formation, this is still worth watching. I'm not saying go buy it here, but worth watching. Maybe on a move back through VWAP.
Those let's see, some of you were mentioning the copper plays were doing pretty well. Yeah, I'm seeing that FCX now approaching, it's over 7% now. It's almost doubled since I was looking at it earlier this morning. I like copper, provided the tariff plays holds up.
CrowdStrike here. So CrowdStrike's bouncing. I'd actually watch for a reversal here at this 352. I still think CrowdStrike is on its way down to its 200 there at about 335-ish. Watch for this at VWAP here, 352. You might actually roll over and then retest some of those lows down here, 343. Yeah, AV indeed, Robert. That is indeed giving massive gains on that bounce play.
Oh, it's just super low RSI when it opened here. Just absolutely hammered, and it's been getting hammered, since the middle of February. So nice, really nice setup there. If you're trading that, you're doing great. Well done.
Seeing a stat here from Unusual Whales, IRS refunds are 32% lower on average so far this tax season. Are any of you seeing that? I owed money.
I haven't been paying attention to that. No.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. I that's just kind of like a random data point. I'm just throwing it out there. Izzy, one of the traders that I've been following for a long time that's been incredibly instrumental in education for me, buying Amazon calls right now, the March 14 calls. I'm not going to follow this. Gosh, now I'm second guessing myself. These are next week's calls. 9 days till expiry on these. I might even, you know what? I'm gonna try a little of the 210 here. 210 ask is 310 on this Amazon. See if I can get filled for 3. See if I can get filled for 3 here on Amazon.
You know, it's interesting how the Qs are trying to hold up above the 200-day SMA. I think that's going to be an important gauge to watch for. We lose that, then this is the first stop I have to the downside is going to be 475, but 475 and 450.
Yeah, I love this. Kendra Duke, no refund in years. Amen, brother. Webcoin refund? What's that? 530. You guys are getting refunds? LOL. Nope. Steve, I love this though. My goal is to never loan the government money for free. I like that. Fairchild, I can appreciate here. Lower tax refunds very noticeable in our rural area. New tires gotta wait. I don't like taxes, so I quit. Oh, okay. I like that comment. By the way, while all this was playing out, look what happened to CrowdStrike. We did not quite print that VWAP, but boy, oh boy, so far here, it looks like we kind of stopped there. It'll be interesting to see if this rolls over from here. CrowdStrike.
Let me look at this because that kind of looks like the bear flag. Yeah.
That's lower.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what my gut tells me here too.
That's
I don't like taxes, so I quit. Jay, I might cut and paste that and reuse that. That one was good. Mnuchin, quote, pretty clear the Fed is going to lower rates. That's something else that we talked about. You had the Fed saying, we're just going to be data dependent. And you're like, okay, here's the data.
Oh, shit. Okay, cut him.
Yep. 530 saying crowd just priming to leg down. That's exactly it, right? This VWAP here looks like this is going to send it lower, and we gave you the target. It's not on this chart because I don't have the daily moving average there, but it's probably on my other one. Actually, I think I might have left it up here.
335.
I did 335. I technically have this at 330, but your line at 335 was clear as day, a support level. So this, I think, is your next area for CrowdStrike. I think this is where it's going.
Lots of sideways action. I just don't see enough good, or really that many good setups here that I'd be excited about getting into. Maybe you all see something that's looking good, but I'm just going to be patient. And if I don't see anything, well, guess what? I'm not trading right now. Don't be afraid to sit on your hands, folks. We have a volatile market. It's one of those markets that you could be like, oh, this looks great, and you get into it, and then it just takes you all the way down. And
as if we haven't spent enough time talking about volatility. SPY back down at the lows here. Market Sniper saying, what a slow day. Where are all the retailers? I'm seeing the same thing, Market Sniper. Definitely feels slow here to me as well.
A lot of exiting happened in the last half hour of the day yesterday. They may not have come back yet. I remember that was a really good point that was brought up by one of our members in the happy hour chat, saying, there's could be a big exit ahead of the congressional address. So what happened 30 minutes before the close? Big selling.
Yep. All right. We're trying Amazon a little bit here, Izzy. We're trying Amazon. Next week's 210 call. We'll see. Small. Just dipping the toe in a little bit.
Well, what's everybody trading right now? I may as well. I mean, I'll take some tickers if you want me to look at something while we make our way through this kind of boring price action we're getting.
Yeah, and just to be clear here, this is not a day trade. The one that I'm just telling you, but the Amazon trade here.
Would like to see BTAI, get back up to VWAP, maybe even through it. That one was looking pretty interesting this morning, but volumes evaporated since then. GV still kind of going sideways, has not gone down to the level I have marked off here, the 206, the 205 level. I think that's, if we lose that, that could be pretty bad for GV, but still kind of hanging in there, trying to recapture VWAP.
By the way, I took the SPY off the screen for like a second and it started to bounce. So I figured I'd come back here and show you that. I mean, this is just all about it. Mansoor says, how about eat it on a swing trade? I gave that to you when that came out, right? I told you the CRISPR upgrade really popped those gene editors. That would obviously CRISPR itself, but also eat it. The other one was NTLA, ticker NTLA, November Tango Lima Alpha. Those both popped. The swing entry for that was on that upgrade. I think 130 was the price paid on Eat It.
Nice mention by JJ here, CDXC. This one having a really good day.
Going to it. I haven't even pulled that up here yet today. So, oh yeah, Chromadex. Chromadex shares trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q4 financial results and FY25 revenue guidance above estimates.
And I got a price raise, 810.
530 says just keep SPY off the screen so that it keeps bouncing. I could do that. I could do that. What was the level you just gave here?
Well, I was just mentioning that it got a price target raise to 810. We're above that now in this one.
Yeah.
Tesla is now down for the day. I'll go back to Tesla, take a look at that. And I got to take a look at AMD as well because their graphics cards come out tomorrow, and they have a real opportunity to capture market share from NVIDIA.
The AMD cards come out tomorrow, huh?
Yeah.
Well, how are those benching? What's the I didn't watch that other video. Damn it!
I don't have enough. I haven't seen enough information on the benchmarks yet. But the price point is actually very good. So if the performance is comparable to what NVIDIA's come out with, and if the availability is there, which AMD is saying it is,
and they don't have overheating issues,
right?
They're not missing ROPS,
right? Exactly. If they nail this launch of their graphics card, they have a real opportunity to capture a lot of market share in the graphics card space from NVIDIA.
Fairchild. Oh, the Michael Jackson reference here is strong with Fairchild today. Izzy, is that Trump Trudeau meeting news? Is that new? Did we know that was happening? Was that scheduled? I don't think the market is responding to that.
As far as AMD levels go, 93 seems like a really good level to watch for. If we continue to move down into the launch tomorrow, 93 seems like a really good spot for a reversal. Beneath that, we're talking like 89, 81 or 80. I don't know if we're going to get that low, but if the launch doesn't go very well, or if there's some problems, or Tech World comes back and says, "Hey, these AMD cards are shit," it's probably going to end up hitting those marks as well. But I really feel like AMD's just super oversold at this point. Really come off the highs. It's been more than cut in half. Even if their graphics card launch isn't as good like everybody hopes it will be, there's at least a possibility that this might reverse just on technicals.
What did we call this in happy hour the other? Automatic Money Destroyer, AMD, Automatic Money Destroyer. That was the pet name that we had to this one.
That's kind of been the case for the past, let's say pretty much 2024. Started off with a really big move from the 160s to the 220, and then came right back in. Have not been back since.
Kind of like this 94 level for a potential long here if it can hold. It's worth noting that going back to 2020 or the summer of 2020, volume point of control down there in the 80 handle. Yeah, at some point this has got to bounce here, 13.
Yeah.
All right. I guess I should say I think it does. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to listen to me at all, but it feels like it should definitely bounce here in the near term. GV, you guys had mentioned this. I'm sorry I didn't get to it sooner. Crimp Biscuit said one more time. Wasn't that a song?
Oh, yep. I see what you're saying with GV. It's moving over VWAP right now. Looking for that 261 again.
Yeah, that one more time. That was the old Daft Punk track. That's what I had playing in my head there.
We're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah.
Everyone knows that song. It's a good one. Advanced Money Destroyer, says Ja. Either will work. Either will work.
Yep.
Goldman cuts Tesla. Is that fresh? Is that from this morning?
Let's see.
I'm just reading what Izzy is mentioning here. I didn't check it myself.
Showroom in India is the most recent news.
The Germany Tesla sales, we talked about that earlier. Don't see the news there. It's on CNBC now. Oh, I do see Phil LeBeau. He's pretty much covering the global demand. The market, the thing here is Tesla global demand in question. We kind of covered that. I gave you that article earlier.
Here's a move down in GRRR. Still above VWAP, but you're making its way down there pretty quick.
GV still holding above its VWAP there.
And it is 10:30, so expect a lot of liquidity to start drying up here.
Market at the lows, by the way. SPY and NASDAQ both here at the lows.
Yeah, GV just went up to 260. Didn't quite hit 261, but man, right there knocking on the door again. And GB getting support from VWAP. Maybe it does set up, but as long as it holds VWAP, there's a chance that this could move up through 260 and go higher. We do want to see some of that volume start to expand as well.
Apple's trying to bounce. Amazon's actually holding in pretty well considering.
Yeah, a little bit more of a muted day here. People trying to shake off or make sense of what they heard last night.
I was going to say it does actually seem like this is pretty muted. And I think, the more and more I think about this, the more and more I think that you mentioned earlier about people just kind of waiting and out the potential comments from Lutnick on the tariff situation. That seems more and more spot on as the day goes by here, 13, honest to God.
Kramer's buying the dip. It's over. Raman, I would say yes. If you want news on penny stocks, you're going to get news headlines that come across the news feed on pretty much every ticker here. I mean, Ryan, you want to elaborate on?
Yeah. So here's one thing. So first of all, we get questions like this all the time. And 13, do me a favor. If there's a trade, I know it's slow, but if there's a trade setup, don't hesitate to holler and interrupt me. But Raman, you're asking here about specifically on penny stocks. I would change your question around a little bit. And I would say that you can get news on whatever it is that you want. right? So here's an example. And I know it might be a little bit small. I'll actually zoom in temporarily just so you can kind of see this, since I am going to show you something here real quick. Here's a default news feed. And as you can see, this is going to give you news on pretty much anything. But as far as your specific question, one of the things that you can do here is you can actually add a price filter, right? So if I want to do this and say I want to have a maximum of $5, now I've got a news feed here for stocks that are $5 and under. And if you wanted to set this to $1 to make it literal penny stocks, that's your prerogative. You could do that too. The reason that I'm mentioning this, though, is because, of course, while you can set it to less than $5, you can set this to any dollar range that you want, right? So you can actually, the whole point or the whole value add here of the Benzinga newsfeed over, let's say, one that you might get in your broker, is that you can actually manipulate this feed to show you a whole bunch of things. It doesn't have to just be, one thing or another. You certainly don't have to listen to what, it's not as if we're piping all the information in. You can pick and choose. Also, there's a bunch of different categories that you can filter for. So if that's something that maybe you're not really thinking about price, you can do that. There's also keywords. So one of the good ones here is offering, right? You want to see stocks that are releasing an offering or going to go through an offering. There's a way to do all of that. Then you can layer on some notifications on top of this. So I would say to your question about penny stocks, yes, but the reality is that there's so much more than that it can also do. Yeah, pretty much anything that you can come up with, it can do.
I would. Well, I have a thought here. I would add that when it comes to penny stocks, you're going to see a lot less news coverage because they're just not paid attention to very much. So you're not going to see a lot of analysts talking about them either. But what you will get a lot of are SEC filings.
And press releases.
Yeah. And I think those filings are the ones that you're going to want to pay attention to, because these penny stocks, they do a lot of really, we'll just say, interesting things in order to stay on the exchange and stay relevant. So I would be paying attention to those filings that they do, because there's going to be a lot of important information in there that you're going to want to know about with regard to how they're functioning.
Yeah, and some other things here. I was talking to some people that have been using AI tools to kind of analyze financial documents a little bit quicker. It's also worth noting that you can cut and paste a lot of this stuff right out of Pro and drop it into AI tools if that's something that you're looking to do. Got that question the other day, so figured I'd mention it here. And Rahman, by the way, I know you're on a trial here. If you're not working with somebody, reach out to one of us. If you're not working with James or something like that, reach out to him or reach out to me. I'll put you in contact. We'll make sure we find you a deal on that.
Yeah, and come hang out with us in the happy hour chat from time to time.
Yeah, Amazon's working, is he? Let's hope they can get a couple of days of some movement on that. That's going to be a short-term trade, but not a day trade. All right, what else is going on out there? Does definitely feel a little bit slow here. And the market, man, it just will not pick a direction. It's now bouncing. We were just talking about how it was all on the lows. Now it's bouncing here.
Have you seen the 5-minute chart? This thing looks like looks like a heart monitor after you've done a marathon.
Just back and forth.
Yeah. Broadening, though. It is showing a little bit of broadening here. Didn't really get that the last after we opened. Or maybe after we hit the 10 o'clock hour, but still looks like it's trying to find trying to find a direction. Just keeps on whipping around. I would say that if we lose that 5.74.71 previous all-time high to the downside, that's probably the direction we're headed. And if we recapture the 580 that I was mentioning earlier, we'll likely come back up and test the 5% pullback level, which is at 582.57.
Robert here saying ChatGPT great for processing SEC filings. Fairchild saying I make ChatGPT decipher all of those filings and tell me what it means. Yeah, indeed. Sweet one here asking to check out Banco Santander. That's ticker SAN if I'm not mistaken. This was a Tim Melvin pick, the gentleman that we had this morning. I can't remember what date. I have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure he gave out SAN. as a play here. This actually having a pretty great move here. Sweet one went on to say, check out Banco Santander chart. Also would note that some of the big ADRs are somewhat disguised as penny stocks because one share of the ADR does not equal one share of the actual stock. What is the ratio here? Just off the top of my head, I don't know what it is, but I believe that this was another pick that Tim Melvin was bullish on. I'd have to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Amazon
when did he
continuing to trade higher?
When did he give that? Because this thing has been on a run.
I don't remember. Like I said, I'd have to just ask him. I'll do that here afterwards.
Okay. Yeah. This thing, I mean, this isn't something that I'd be picking up now with the RSI, daily RSI being as extended as it is, and this run having happened already. There might be some some opportunity where it pulls back, and that would be a good time to maybe get into it if this is the one you want to pick up. But to me, this looks like this has kind of gone on a really nice run, and might not be a great idea to buy up here, depending on your time horizon. If you're going to hold this for years, and maybe it is, but for a trade, I don't know. I'd be so sure about that. Does that make sense with how much it's run?
Did to me.
Okay.
Did to me. Does anyone have anything great out there that you feel pretty good about that maybe I should take a look at? I feel like we've asked a couple of times. I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I know it is a little bit slow here. Market is bouncing now.
Oh. I mean, maybe LAES, that thing might be curling. Okay, well, let's see if we can get up. Let's see. Hold on, let me pull this up to see where this may end up going. All right. Yeah, it'd be really interesting if this move that we're getting, this reversal, and the fact that we've been broadening the price action, it would be interesting if this current move up goes up to 580 and gets rejected. That would be just for me.
Just chef's kiss. Yeah. Just broaden it out, baby.
All right, so looks like GV still trying to hold VWAP. I mean, some of these are just really going sideways, and depending on which direction the market goes, these could go the same way. TRNR trying to recapture VWAP still. The Huntington Ingalls one with the shipbuilder, that one, slightly moving up after the rebound at the open here. Just ever since we it opened, it dropped, recovered, and has gone mostly sideways, if not slightly higher.
BABA continuing its strong performance here. Actually curling off this recent pullback. Let's actually see if this can go higher here on BABA. Run through some of the names that you folks gave me here. Appreciate you folks. Justin Bourne. It's almost like Jason Bourne. That's pretty cool. CRML. Since you said please, and we're so polite, yeah, of course we can take a look at that. Here is your CRML. This is Critical Metals. I don't know this stock. Lithium exploration in Australia. Oh, excuse me, Austria. Beg your pardon.
I know that there's speculation around this critical minerals deal, but two things to understand is that whatever deal happens, it's going to take a while to even get anything up and going in Ukraine.
I briefly mentioned that you were talking about this yesterday, so I'm glad you're hitting on this.
Yeah, and then and the United States has a lot of already well-established supply chains for critical minerals as well. So this is more of a long-term thing that they're doing in Ukraine. And the other issue is that things like this could get hit by tariffs. So and it was mentioned last night. That's why production inside the United States, mining inside the United States, those companies that own those mines that are publicly traded, they could do really well. That's one of the reasons why I'm looking at FCX or FXC, whichever
FCX, Freeport McMoran, right?
Yeah.
Buddy's back here. He's washing himself real quick. Buddy, let's see how Chewy's doing. Chewy actually looks like it's going to trade up here, buddy. So you're in good shape. What a goofy cat.
Are we turning back around now? Seems like things are starting to
I laughed because as soon as I brought up the SPY, 530 said that I was making the SPY go down again. And I was like, is that really happening? And I look at it and the candle's literally coming I just can't even at this point, 5:30, you just have to laugh about it. We just have to have a good laugh about that.
Well, that's not broadening. All right.
Steve asking here, you don't lose until you sell, right? Question mark. If my trade is going bad, that doesn't mean I have to close it, correct? Technically, you do not have to close something, but what I would amend that and say, what does the rules of your trading say? In other words, what's your max drawdown on an individual trade? How does that apply to the trade that's currently going against you? What's your plan and what's your time horizon in case that trade works and doesn't work? Or doesn't work, I guess is the right way to say that there. So I think there's more information there that you need in order to make that decision. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I can't reach through the screen and press your button. You're going to have to. So you might as well be confident in the decision you make.
Yeah, know what your tolerance levels are. If you're if you're gonna if a trade turns south on you, you know where you're gonna have to take your loss, so you don't lose more.
One of my favorite adages that I got from more experienced traders than me when I was first starting out, sometimes your best stop or sometimes your first stop is your best stop. So if you put a stop out there when you're kind of planning this trade and you said, this is not what I want to lose, not altering that stop is key. If you look at it coming and say, oh, well, it might turn around. Let me lower my stop a little bit. Let me lower my stop a little bit. Oh, all of a sudden now you've created a huge problem. So.
Savarsi Marcy, GV to the 200 daily EMA. We've actually hit that already in this session. I have the 200 day EMA at just under 254. So we've already hit that in the regular session. We almost actually hit 3 in the regular session. So we've come up above that moving average. That was actually a level earlier, so you're not wrong about that. But it could be a level again, but I'm leaning more on the levels that I put in that aren't moving averages, and that was 261, 270, and 3. Those are the levels I'm watching for right now. But you're not wrong about 200 EMA being a level. It previously was.
Jay here saying the problem with that thinking, first of all, which thinking? We discussed a couple of things there. Your book will be filled with all losers.
If you hold.
Yeah, I'm looking for some clarification there because I know there's a little bit of a delay.
Yeah.
I know that, we talked about a couple of things back to back there. I'm just not, I want to be very clear on what he's referring to.
C-Spot mentioning TRNR. That one looked like it was moving through its VWAP the last I looked at it. It looks like it did and then came right back in. So still not able to hold above that VWAP. And that just might be the way things go until we actually hear from about the tariffs. It just might be a lot of back and forth, a lot of stuff.
Kind of reminds me of like a pre-Fed day, doesn't it? Where you're just kind of waiting out the event. There's a little bit of action that's kind of back and forth, but it doesn't really do anything of note.
This is starting to feel like the summer of 2021. I don't know if you remember how that went down, but there was a lot of chop. Market was kind of illiquid. It seemed like nobody was really interested in trading. There was just the 2021 just didn't seem like it was the greatest time for trading. There were some things that were still working pretty well, but just that summer, that was when things started to. It was great. It was great.
That was the GameStop too, right?
That was earlier in that year, 2021. Okay. It was like the Q1 and Q2. That was actually Q1 was great in 2021. But after that, the trading didn't work out so well going into the summer and throughout the summer.
Jay here, appreciate you getting back to me. It's not a loss until you sell question. So you're exactly right, Jay. I'm glad that's what you were referring to because I hear people say, hey, if your trade, if it goes down, just hold on to it until it goes green. Well, in some cases that might work. But Jay, you're absolutely right. It doesn't work all of the time. And if you stay on that and you have no downside protection and no discipline, indeed, all of the things that you end up holding on to are going to be losers because they never went back to even. They never went back and made you money. Mark Petrino talks about this a lot when he comes on his Friday session. Excuse me. My buddy's after some bird activity he sees outside, by the way.
I wonder, and maybe this is one we can field in happy hour today, but I wonder if Booz Allen Hamilton might get a reversal off that Supreme Court decision. You know what I'm getting at?
The USAID decision from earlier?
Yeah. I wonder. I mean, look at the price action we've had over this past week. It looks like it's trying to get back up to 110.
Okay.
Just. I mean, I'm curious. I mean,
I'll say this. I'll say that. I think I reserve the right to do this. I don't have an opinion on this trade yet. Let me mull this over. I appreciate you trying to think outside the box and bring us something here, but I don't have an answer for you yet.
Yeah, and because we were talking about how this was getting hammered on the government funding being cut and USAID and all that. So if USAID is getting some support from the Supreme Court, I'm not trying to rhyme. That might be good for this one, for this particular when it's gone down pretty fast in a short period of time. But anyway, I'm not saying that there's a trade here yet. I'm just saying that this could be interesting if there's support for USAID. Just kind of thinking outside, out loud. That's a good one. C spot. Let's check Mullen.
Please tell me that we're just having fun right now.
I think we are because this market's just not really
Okay.
giving us a whole lot.
Okay, everything's fine. I was about to say if Mullen is doing something, if this is just going ham or doing something crazy, like, come on now.
No, it looks like it's trading the way it should be. Lower and sideways. Nemelon is asking what VWAP is.
Volume weighted average price. You want to give a swing at that?
Oh, you go ahead.
Volume weighted average price. It is. Let's just use Mullen here as an example. It is the light blue. In fact, I'll just hide it so it's even easier to see. It is this light blue curvy line. And this fact, if you want to know the math and all of that, go ahead. But look that up on your own. VWAP here stands for volume weighted average price, and it gives a really good idea of two things. One, support and resistance level intraday. I especially like this on the 1, the 5, and the 15 minute. But one of the other things that VWAP does, we were discussing this yesterday, especially on some of these ETFs, VWAP can really kind of be a signal of, hey, maybe you ought to take a counter trend trade here. That is to say, in some cases, when a stock becomes so extended away from the VWAP in either direction, the more extended it gets, the higher the propensity that it will make some type of regressive
mean
move
reversion.
back. Yeah, mean reversion back to the mean. And remember, that's what the volume weighted average price is. It's an average. It's a mean. So if you take a look at SQQQ yesterday, right out of the open, we were ripping higher, got pretty extended. It came back into the VWAP. Then it broke through the VWAP. Then we really sold. But as it continued to get more and more away from the VWAP, that propensity to come back to the VWAP was there. And this exists all of the time. Now, today's action, we're pretty much just jostling around it. I don't know if there's anything I can really take away from today's trading action, but not always the case. So this is basically an average that looks at the price and the volume of the trading action. And in my opinion, it's best done on intraday timeframes. Is there anything you wanted to add to that, 13?
Oh, no. That was perfect.
Okay. Let me know if that was help, Namalan, and if hopefully I pronounced your name correctly.
To answer the question about as he had Intel down because of Trump chips from Actionable, yeah, that's what it looks like. It's well, I don't think he's canceled that yet, or I think he's just said that he wants.
He called for the end of it. Yeah.
So yes, that's naturally going to pull this down some more, but I don't think that's necessarily the end for Intel. I think
Me either.
There's other things that could bode well for this, but we're just relatively patient and wait for that, because I think there's still talks of spinning off its foundry business, or some companies acquiring parts of Intel. So we're not done with the news in Intel yet. This is just another one of these headlines that's going to take it down back to where it was trading previously.
Sorry, just looking through. What time is it here? We got 8 minutes till the story trading gentlemen join us. That is
excellent.
Easy for me to say. Holy smokes.
Yeah, there's a lot of sideways action. C-spot filled on Elias. RL asked about joining Happy Hour.
RL is a chat member here.
Okay.
Hang on. Yes. Okay. So Happy Hour. I know we mentioned that quite a bit here. Happy Hour is a Zoom-based call that runs Monday through Thursday for an hour right after the market closes. It is only available to Pro members currently. So you actually have to have an active subscription to Benzinga Pro in order to join that. I will say, though, one of the reasons you hear me mentioning it quite a bit is I do try to bring some nuggets from that discussion to this forum for more discussion. And I'll continue to do that. But if you want to be present for all of that, you need to be a Pro subscriber. That was something you want to talk about COVID. That was something when everyone was at home, we decided, it seems like a lot of our members would really like to have an opportunity to get together and talk about things, especially if they're home all day, if they're locked in their house. So we said, we'll start the show. We basically started it with charts and reviewing charts. And the people that joined really created it into what it is today. We have professionals from all different walks of life that share their varying life experiences, their professional experiences, their trading ideas. And it really makes for a forum where you can kind of I almost want to say market research, right? You can kind of ask others what they think, generate some opinions, things like that. So it's really kind of morphed into its own thing. And I couldn't be happier about that.
And a lot of folks that are here in this chat end up, joining us. Fairchild's one of them. Robert has joined us as well. Lots of really smart people in there. Yeah. And I've learned so much just with that happy hour alone.
Me too. I mean, I started that for a place for people to go. Mm-hmm. And it ended up being something that I use as a resource for myself. I mean, there are people in there that are much smarter than I am, and I'm able to learn things from them. I think that's a core tenet of being a good trader, is learning from those that have more experience than you. You can always learn something from a discussion. Really quick, sorry, 13, I'll get you in here in a sec. Fairchild, really good suggestion here. Ryan, put a link in the Pro chat window. So first of all, when you open up Pro, if you open up your chat tool, there's also a chat channel dedicated to Happy Hour. So it probably goes to the Pro Lounge by default, but you want to go to Happy Hour, and what I'll do is I will toss the registration link in there. Go ahead and register.
Yeah, and when you don't see the link in there, it's usually because there's a teal bar, a little banner that comes across the bottom of Pro that you can click to join. So keep an eye out for that too if you don't see a link in the chat.
Okay, let's take a quick look around here. We got a couple of minutes before we go to story trading here. Apple, that sell-off kind of stopped around that 232 level. Same with the Palo Alto sell-off. Quick look here. S&P futures up by about 0.1% here. Dow futures up 0.3, and NASDAQ up 0.1.
Apple trying to recapture that 233. If you go to a smaller time frame and mark off 233, you can just see this attempt, and it looks like
I'm sorry. Which Apple? You were saying?
Apple, yeah. Mm-hmm. So you can look at just draw a line at 233 just for today. You can see how we're trying to recapture that, and it looks like it may be putting in a little bit of a bull flag in its attempt to recapture 233. So we'll see how that ends up resolving. But 233, that's the level I think we need to see the price close over today. Because if we don't, I would expect that there would be more downside ahead. That's a pretty important level here.
Also, looks like we had a trend here. Yeah, we were just talking about this one. This was the trend break. And if you look inside, you can see, look, it broke that pretty much right at the open. Hasn't been able to get back there.
Jonathan, I think that we might start seeing that as early as the BLS jobs report that's on Friday. I don't think it's going to show us a whole lot, but I think that's where we're going to start seeing some of that the government layoff data. So and the BLS jobs report will say, how many government jobs were added or lost. So I think, paying attention to the BLS jobs report on this Friday is going to be something where you might see the first results of that.
Okay, real good stuff. Amazon, that is cooking.
Yeah, it really does look like Apple wants to recapture 233.
Yeah, it sure does. The more I look at it, the more it looks like it's going to try that too. Okay. Kevin, thank you. Thank you for all of your participation. Have a great rest of your day. Gary, thank you for all of your support. Gary and Bernhard have been around that happy hour for a long time. 13 too. 13 is a main contributor there. And I'll be on, and now I'll use this time to say this too. I honestly, 13, I don't think I could do it without your help. As many days as we do it, the recap, there's a lot of things going on in there. So hats off to you, because you do add an absolute ton of value to that show.
I
Can't
appreciate
thank you
that.
enough.
No, not a problem. I appreciate that. And it's probably because I always got something to say. I always have something to say.
Yeah, well, you know what? The gears in your brain are always turning too. That ain't a bad thing.
Thank God for that. I don't know what I'd do if they weren't. Thank you, all sorts of things. Gotcha. And take care, Steve. Take care, C Spot. Webcoin, you're looking at GV turning back up. Bull flag needs work. I think I see the bull flag you're talking about.
Look, Buddy became active. Remember, his pick was Chewy. Buddy is 1 for 1 today, folks.
Jeez.
I'll go. He'll get some extra food here today for his great call here on Chewy.
And then we'll ask him
here
tomorrow
on volume.
We're going to ask him again tomorrow. That's happening. Sorry.
Yep.
But yeah, so anyway, with the mention of the bull flag on GV, that's easier to see on these larger time frames. Like I usually use the 5 minute. Don't see it as well as I do on the 15 or the 30. It might be bullish. I really do want to see this get back above the VWAP before I start thinking this is going to break out into do a bull flag breakout. I just have some concerns about this one. The MACD is concerning as well, but if it can hold above 205 and recapture VWAP, then I think we may see 3 or higher again. So that would be what I'm watching for. I'm just not sure at this particular juncture.
Okay, 13. We are out of time here today. Really good stuff here today. We'll be back tomorrow. Any closing words for the group here?
Hey, just make sure your stops are tight. If you're going to be trading this choppy market, you don't want to get slaughtered in this place. So for me, I may just end up sitting on my hands the rest of the day and wait for things to set up in either the afternoon or until tomorrow. Until then, take care, folks. Stay green. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. 13. Really good stuff. 13's departure, of course. You guys know it's time. Time for the story trading, boys. Let me go ahead and bring on Ben. Ben, can I bring on Rhett and Godfather as well? Are they ready to go?
I don't know. Are they?
I'm going to give, you know what? We're going to find out. We're going to find out. Cold open. That's what we call it in the biz. Hello, Rhett. Hello, Godfather.
How's it going, guys?
Hey, we're all ready to go. Let's go. Really good stuff here. All right. Guys, what do you got on deck for us today?
Loving it. Doing great. I mean, we navigated this market volatility pretty well, at least from a prediction point of view. I saw this coming from a mile away, the QQQ drop. I put a video out to my Discord 2 Sunday nights ago when we're like in the 520s calling for a drop to 500 to 510. Once we got down there to 500, you won't believe this, Ryan, but I predicted the bottom 4 days in advance. It was Friday morning. I said the bottom will come on Monday or Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. at around 492. Well, the bottom came 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday. And once Tuesday morning came, I actually refined the target. I said mid 480s is going to be the bottom. We're live trading this. I picked up the bottom QQQ calls right there around 488 along with some hood calls. So navigated this past week pretty good. And you won't believe it, Ryan. I'm still up 108% year to date.
Keep killing it, Ben. That sounds great. I'm going to get out of your hair. Story trading starts right now.
All right. All right, guys. Right, Godfather, good to see you guys. I got to start with, well, look, let me just cover QQQ a little bit more as I did on the morning show this morning, and then we'll get into some individual stocks. So QQQ at this key level here, that 200 DMA, it overshot it intraday, which it often does when you get those capitulation bottoms, just like it does here. Intraday overshot it. That's why I went down to about 480s for the bottom call. You can also use the 50-week moving average as a guide, and you can see it doesn't quite touch the 50-week moving average. That's another tool I use. The trend is your friend, which is how I predicted that mid 480s bottom. But is the bottom in? That I don't know. All right. I figured we'd have a bounce here. I was hoping for a bounce of 2 days to 2 weeks. I called it a multi-period bounce. I don't know if we're going to get that now. I don't know. It's a tough market for sure. I've been trading with a very high cash position all of this year, roughly 60% cash position. In the last few days, I was more like 70% cash. So touch and go, there's a lot of factors here. Are we going to hold this? Are we not? Is this just a correction in the bull market, or is there going to be a recession because of the tariffs? I don't know. I'm leaning bullish, and I'm trying to I got into some positions here at the 200 DMA, and I'm hoping it sticks. But you got to respect the technicals. If we drop below the 200 DMA, and then obviously if you break that 487.74, all bets are off, and you can be in for a deeper correction that can last weeks. That's my take on the macro. I do care about the macro. I look at the QQQ IWM because I get much less aggressive on individual stock picks if the indices are not a tailwind to my back. So I'll pause there, and Godfather, get your macro thoughts as well.
Yeah, look, I agree. I mean, the market is definitely telling you when there are times to do less, and I think now is one of those. We could do 2 hours on navigating volatility. I think the core things to focus on are, number one, always invest with conviction. Otherwise, you're going to get shaken out during these periods. And you got to put in the work. You got to know what you're owning. Otherwise, you're simply going to capitulate at times when you shouldn't. And, you'll end up doing the absolute worst thing, which is, buying at the highs and selling at the lows. The second thing is allocation size, which I know you do a great job of preaching to our community on a regular basis. You have to stay diversified, and you have to lower your position sizes across the board when you see market volatility like this. And the third thing is hedging. And I really don't encourage active hedging in the market. Because you've got a whipsaw situation here with policy announcements on the daily or on the hourly. I think your best bet in terms of hedging in a market like this is doing exactly what you're doing, Ben, and what you're preaching, which is having a really high cash position. And not only will this provide the dry powder when there's some clear trend days back in the market. I mean, look, we haven't had a trend day in the market for about 10, 12, 14 trading sessions here. It's been chop. So, I know it's hard to stare at your screen all day and do nothing, but, those are the things to do. And the last thing I'll mention is quality. You got to know when the market is telling you that it's not going to reward a lack of earnings. It's not going to reward small cap companies that are pre-revenue. Story stocks, these kinds of things. We took full advantage of that when it was that kind of market at the end of December, but it's clearly not that kind of market right now. So you need to allocate appropriately in terms of portfolio weight to quality companies, to companies that are backstopped by fundamental earnings, and then get aggressive when the market's telling you to get aggressive. And right now, we're seeing lousy market reactions to really good earnings reports. That tells you something. It tells you that there's no liquidity in this market. It tells you that people are on buyer strike. And it tells you that, you can wait because ultimately earnings will get rewarded. It's a question of timing in the market and waiting for defined trends. Look, you can easily, miss out on 10% of the rebound and still make a great deal of money when the trends are more certain. And we're just not seeing that at this point. Maybe we'll start to get a bit of that if confidence returns to this market, if we get some clarity on the tariff front. But I think there's this gap, right? There's this gap that's going to happen between the short-term pain that Trump is talking about and the long-term gain. It's how long will it take for people to start to believe that the onshoring of manufacturing in the U.S. Will offset the trade balance? How long, will it take for tariffs to be offset by the tax cutting on the other side of it? There's going to be a gap here, and I think that's what the market is wrestling with right now. So, and the other things, of course, are the concerns over government spending, which makes up a large portion of the economy. Where is that gap going to get refilled in terms of domestic activity? So, yeah, we wait and see and adjust accordingly. But there are individual stocks where you can create alpha, through all markets by staying close to near-term catalysts, and that's a big part of what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of hedging, Rhett, you've been keeping track of that QQQ. Look, there's a few ways to really get big outperformance. All right, the number one thing that I focus on is limiting your drawdowns when there's a market pullback. Now, how do you limit your drawdown when there's a market pullback? You could just stop trading, go all cash. You could just also by watching your allocations, right? You have a very strict, disciplined allocation strategy. So when you're not going to get killed because you're all in on options or something like that. So that'll limit your drawdowns. And then hedging, Rhett, would be another way, right? So now, tell me what you saw. Look, you marked down when I put that video out. I think QQQ was 525 and was calling for basically an imminent correction to 500 to 510. Did he take advantage of any of that QQQ hedging, and how would have those hedges worked?
Yeah, so I did take advantage as soon as you put out that alert, that message and all that. So what I did was I went on there myself. After I did that, I looked at it and saw. So I actually picked up, and thanks to your allocation sizing and everything, I was following your lead, and I mainly went to strictly almost all cash. I was pretty much 90% cash, so that allowed me to do a 5-10% hedge in the portfolio where I went QQQ puts and paid out significantly.
Yeah, I remember late last week when the market was crashing, you were up on a couple consecutive days because of the QQQ hedge. Overall, how are you doing through this market pullback? How's your portfolio doing?
Pretty good. I think I'm up. I think it's a little over 30.
Oh, you broke up. Say that again.
From crashed.
Yeah, you're breaking up. You're rubber banding. Go ahead. How's your portfolio doing? Hello?
I believe I'm up since that crash, since before the crash happened till now. It's a majority of people that I've seen some accounts get wiped out by 50%.
So you're killing it.
Yep.
So you're up 30% because of the guidance we're giving in the Discord during this crash. All right. So not only did he limit your drawdown, but you're actually up during a down period. That's one way to have great outperformance, because when the market rebounds, you're going to be there with, your portfolio is at a high. You're going to have the right psychological mindset because you're not dealing with a big loss. In this case, I did have a drawdown about 5% because I didn't hedge, even though I had the prediction. I didn't hedge until it was kind of too late. I made a little bit yesterday. I lost a little bit the other day. I'm not a great options trader, especially if it's short-term options. I get very emotional. I get shaken out. So I'm not good at that. I'm good at making directional swing bets. Okay. So doing pretty good here myself, up 108% year to date, but still experienced a 5% drawdown from the peak, which is honestly not bad at all. So, all right, that's how we're navigating these markets. We're doing pretty good here with the decades and decades of shared experience between Godfather and myself and Rhett. So now let's move into some individual stock alpha, which is still working out for us. We're still able to, as Godfather was saying, by staying close to the story and really only kind of putting your money in where you have a strong proximal catalyst, you can outperform. So look at ASTS. ASTS is one of many reasons why I'm up so much year to date, because we called the bottom here at $18 on January 30th, went in big position, high conviction based on a catalyst. We predicted the technical move based on the catalyst, based on our interpretation of the catalyst. This was the Vodafone demo of the video call, the first time that ever happened. I felt that really de-risked the story and the money would be piling in. That's exactly what happened. This is, I don't know if that's my biggest winner of the year, or the second biggest winner of the year, but we rode that from like 18 up into the 30s. And now we're riding this second wave with perfect timing. Again, got into this over the last few days with the ER coming up that happened 2 days ago. The conference call was last night. I have to tell you, I think this thing is just getting started. There's a competition that I partake in on social media for like stocks of the week, but also stocks of the year. And there were two stocks I picked for the year that could outperform. One of them was ASTS, and it's up significantly for the year. The other one was Root, which is up significantly for the year. All right, I'm actually winning that competition for the annual picks. But ASTS, I think if someone like said, hey, the competition starts today, what would you pick? I would still make ASTS one of my 2 picks. Up here at $32, $33, I think this thing is just getting started. I've been predicting today it was the number 1 pick of the day today. All right, so we opened here at $30.12. You know, for the number 1 pick of the day, I always try to predict an open green candle or an open red candle and make it easy for everybody. You just buy the open, sell the close, or sell wherever you want during the day. Plenty of opportunity to make a profit. So number 1 pick of the day with a price target I gave you this morning of $31 to $33.55. And little free preview for you guys who are not in our Discord yet. You're not paying for that yet. We're going to give you a free one here. I've been making the prediction all morning in our Discord that we are going to break 33.55, okay, and head towards 39. All right, 33.55 is a key level break. You have a little bit of resistance on the way to 39 at 36.54. Now, as far as timing, I'm not saying it'll definitely happen today, but it's possible we break that 33.55 today. I'm talking more of a swing period. When I say swing period, over the next couple days or a couple weeks, okay, I think we're going to be breaking that 33.55 and up towards 39. Actually, even added to my long-term retirement position on this pop, I even added more based on the conference call last night. I think shorts are going to have to cover. Let's take a look at the short interest here. 44 million shares are going to have to cover. How many shares outstanding? 44 million out of 290 million. So big short position. Going to have to cover here. ASTS is my top pick on every time frame right now. Today, right now, for the rest of the day, intraday, swing position, multi-week, multi-month, multi-quarter, multi-year position. This is my top pick, right? Well, Amazon might be my top pick for multi-year. So, but in any case, ASTS, big winner in our community. Do you guys have any comments on ASTS?
Not about ASTS, just the overall market right now.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead. Just on ASTS, you know, this thing, and I got to say, that call, Ben, at $18 was one of the all-time greats. That was an insane call. I own this in both my long-term and short-term accounts. I did take some profits this morning on the short-term trading account, just because, you know, we've had this business update, and oftentimes you get a bit of an air pocket post the business update when folks, you know, hot money comes in ahead and then sells and short-term leaves. But look, the thesis here, at least from the standpoint of the shorts, and, you know, Ben's right in pointing out there was almost 30% short interest here, has been twofold. One was on technology and the other is on financing. And, you know, a big part of this business update was talking about the fact that, you know, not only have the first 5 of the Bluebird satellites reached full operational status, but they now have a very clear roadmap in terms of the next 40 Bluebird 2 or Block 2 satellites. And these are bigger, more capable. I think people are wrapping their mind around the fact that the timeline towards cash flow is actually getting shortened here because of execution by the market. So, the other part of that short thesis was the financing risk. And now the company is in excess of $1 billion in cash. They've got these pre-revenue or upfront revenue deals with the various MNOs. These are the mobile network operators. They've got this plan in place with Vodafone to tackle the European market. So I don't think that's an issue any longer, either of those things, frankly. And the third thing that was really overhanging the stock and limiting the performance and not giving management credit for their execution were these fears that with Musk being so close to Trump and Trump winning, that we would see, some changes in the stance at the FCC with respect to, both approvals necessary for ASTS or, being a little bit more flexible on the limitations that are currently placed on Starlink because of the interference in the network and so on. And so far, we've gotten all of the approvals as necessary, the key ones from the FCC, and the roadmap looking forward is quite clear. So clarity on all of those things and the tailwind of the short position. And for me, the biggest thing from fundamental guy is the shortening to a free cash flow or even an operating cash flow inflection point. So I agree with you. I think it's going to be one of the biggest winners of 2020.
So, Jay, right. Someone comment here. If you're part of our community, we talk about our losses all the time. We have plenty of losses. Lion Atlas saying, Jay Rice, they will talk about the winner, but we'll shut up about, no, we have losses all the time. It's part of our strategy. We've been doing this for 30 years. It's all about proper allocation size. So someone is talking about Fubo not working out. Okay, didn't work out. So what? Doesn't matter because I'm not in 30, 40, 50% or call options. We have a allocation guide in our Discord that says, the proper allocation levels for common shares, proper allocation levels for options, the strike price and the expiration date that will be appropriate for an option. So if something doesn't work out, it doesn't matter. It's almost like I go into a trade and I don't really care about the outcome. The allocations take care of the outcome. That's how we do it here. Every day you'll see in the Discord, I'm taking losses almost every single day. You guys see it every single day. And sometimes the losses are painful. That being said, I'm still up 108% year to date because of the great predictions we're making and because of that allocation strategy. So no, it's not true. These comments being made here by Lion Atlas and Jay Rice. Now we're a community. We're extremely, extremely transparent. I actually share my full portfolio every single day. At the end of each day, I share my allocation levels in my trading account. So you can clearly see where I'm taking all those big losses. I'll alert my big losses in real time. Taking losses is part of the game. You got to be able to cut your losses. One of the things that I talk about, right, we were talking about this earlier in terms of limiting drawdowns. One of the tools to limit drawdowns is allocations, but it's also shifting to a capital preservation mode. You can't always be thinking about making money. You have to realize when the market's pulling back, all right, you just have to say, you know what? I got to lose less money than the other guy. How do you lose less money than the other guy? Taking losses quickly by shifting to a capital preservation mode. We preach that all the time. I've done that many, many times throughout this year where I go into the morning thinking I want to make money, and then the shit hits the fan. I'm like, nope, I'm not focused on making money. I'm focused on preserving my capital. I'm going to take the losses. Happens all the time. It's a part of the business. So that's that answer for you guys there in the comments. All right. It's 11:21 a.m. Look, that honestly, like ASTS is like the only stock I'm really bullish on right now. I still have a big position in Pitney Bowes, and that's pulled back. So a little bit painful pullback there, but again, proper allocation size, so not hurting me too much. That's, those are my biggest positions is ASTS and PBI. I've been trading OpFi this morning, thanks to Godfather here. Actually made good money on this because it's still up 8%. So we got in yesterday. I was able to sell some on the pop, trading around the core. So I'm making money on OpFi. So ASTS, OpFi, and PBI are actually my top 3 trade positions right now. So I'll turn it over to you, Godfather, to talk about your OpFi stock and the earnings results and where you think the stock's going from here.
Yeah, fantastic earnings out of OpFi. These guys have really, this has been a net interest margin story. So it's been a profitability story, and it hasn't really been a revenue growth story. In fact, if you look at the most recent quarter, revenue grew just 2%, despite the fact that net income was up like 600%. But if you look at the guidance that they gave, and I was bang on this. The consensus was 92 cents. I said my model shows at least $1. You can add another 5 cents to that, given the expansion in their credit facility. And sure enough, they came out and revised their guidance for 2025 up to $1.07 from 92 cents consensus. But for me, the key part of the puzzle here was that their revenue guidance, by the way, consensus was 560. They've guided up to 594. So if you look at those numbers on a year-over-year basis, they're actually talking about an acceleration of the top line in addition to keeping those really high margins. And look at the drivers in this business. It's all about the stress at the consumer level, right? We've had many years of consumers enduring inflation. You've had credit card delinquencies 2x over the last 3 years. Credit card defaults have gone up 50% year over year. In the fourth quarter, we saw delinquencies surge another 7%. This is these are levels that we haven't seen
by the
in
way,
14 years. So this is what's driving their business. And they have the other side of the business. So this is refinancing credit card debt for subprime consumers. But it's an AI story because they've got 14 years and 15 billion data points now, and they're now on their 6th version of their model. And they talked about this at length in the conference call this morning, and how 80% of the funding now is being done through these AI tools, and they're seeing an increase in the quality of the loans, and it's showing up as charge-offs continue to fall. Year over year, there was a further 440 basis point fall off in charge-offs. So, look, first quarter guidance, they just doubled it. It's amazing to me that the stock isn't up more. And what's more, just like ASTS, the short interest here is up over 30%.
Shocking.
So, we called this in our Discord at 20 cents on the warrants. There are listed warrants here. They're good until July of next year. They're struck at 11.5. The minute the stock obviously starts trading through 11.5, and it was 11.20 this morning in pre-market, the leverage really starts to kick in those warrants. So long term, this story is fully intact. I think there was look, there's consternation in the market as a whole. Financials have been one of the best performers in this market. It's been a source of profit taking of late as people have been degrossing and de-risking. But I think along with ASTS, this is going to be one of the biggest winners.
It already has been. In fact, I just want to point this out. OppFi has been one of the biggest winners in our community, because you called this out in our community at what was it, $4, $5? No.
It was my number one call of 2024 because we started buying the options at 20 cents. They went all the way to 650. That's over 3,000% return. I sold out most at around the 450 level. So my biggest winner for sure. I think we go back to those levels. Look, it's not outrageous to think that this should trade at a 12.5 times multiple. If you look at where their peers LendingTree and Lending Club are, and they're outperforming those peers, you throw 12.5 times on $1.07. And by the way, they increased their guidance last year by 15%. I think they're going to do it again this year. So I think the real number is somewhere closer to 120, and you're back at $15. The stock goes to $15. The warrants, which are now trading at $2, go to like $4.55. This company is going to free cash flow, absolutely free cash flow, $100 million this year. What are they going to do with that? They were asked that question point blank on the conference call this morning. Number one, they're going to invest in growth. Number two, they're going to buy back more shares. And by the way, there's a buyback equal to 20% of the float in place. Number three, they're going to do dividends. And by the way, they did a special dividend in the last half of last year. Management owns 80% of this company. They're inclined to want to do more dividends. And number four, they're going to continue to diversify their business and make acquisitions like they did in Biddy, which is expanding not just into consumer lending, but into small
There you
business
go.
lending as well, which is actually your business.
ASTS, OppFi, our top 2 picks of the day. One of my biggest winners, ASTS. One of your biggest winners, OppFi. Also did follow you on that. Not the whole way, because you're the one who does all the research. You're going to have the most conviction out of anyone else in the community or anyone else who's following you. But I did make a big chunk of money on OppFi last year, so appreciate you for that. I actually did add OppFi to my retirement account today on this one. Very short term, I'm feeling a little more unsure. Not as confident personally as ASTS in terms of today or tomorrow. But it looks great. Valuation looks great. Everything you're talking about looks great. The RSI is low. This is a great pick, and I added some to my retirement account. We only have a couple minutes left. Rhett, why don't you tell everyone here what's going on in our Discord, what's new in our Discord? We've changed some things up, and how people get involved.
Yeah, of course. So we changed a few things up. One of those is for a lot of the people that can't really like full-time day trade and sit at their desk all day, is we created a separate channel that is a trade alerts channel. So we set up a notification. So every time we have a high conviction play, those people will get alerted on their phones, just like they did with the Hood calls yesterday that delivered over 100%. And today
we had 100% call on Hood yesterday. That was wild.
Yeah, that was. And then today was from a swing call on ON, and that was average combined of 57% returns. So these people are getting notified from alerts on their phone from inside the Discord, and you guys can join from going to storytrading.com/Discord and use code BZShow for 30% off. And then another thing I want to mention too right now, Ben.
There's a QR code there.
Yep. Neat. So they can scan that. So, and then another thing I want to mention too right now is watching the Qs very carefully, because if we break below 492.30, we could possibly see another leg down in this market. So just keep that in mind and hedge properly, and just watch for that key level to see what we do right here. Looks like we're holding it, but for now, we don't know. So
we got 1 minute to 30 seconds, whatever it is. The 200 DMA. If you close below the 200 DMA, it could be trouble, guys. So to me, that's the most important thing. Where you close in relation to that 200 DMA can set the direction for the next few weeks. So definitely in a spot here. Let's hope it holds.
Hey, really good stuff, guys. You like that QR code, huh?
That was cool, and I like that bit, and it had like this little glow was like moving around it. That
draws attention to it. Yep, we throw that up a couple of times here during your segment. So
cool.
It has been scanned. Okay, really good stuff here. Really good stuff here, guys. Good trading through a volatile
I lost
week.
Everyone.
Oh, you're still here.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, Ben.
Yeah, I think that's his internet.
Okay.
You can hear me, right?
My internet.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're good. All right. We'll see you guys next week. We're going to move over to Futures Fever right now. This is the Story Trading Group for Ben, Rhett, and the Godfather. I'm Ryan. We'll see you next week. Futures